Okay. We're back. Let's see how this is doing. Test, test, test. Talk. That one. Oliver, hello. Pop out this chat real quick. Why is it always a jiggly custard at the starting screen? It was from the what was it from? That's a good question. I was working on animations and I wanted to make something jiggly. And I think it was a joke for one of the gelatinous cube video. I think it was the gelatinous cube video. So I made that animation and I just liked it. So it's there. I need to have another day where I stream some animations. I haven't done animations in a little while. I could probably swap it out for the kobold. That could be fun. I haven't drawn a kobold in a while. But it gives people something to look at while I'm working on this. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. It is the viewer suggestion day. I have a huge list. We have about 29 suggestions today. If you guys haven't gotten your suggestions on the community post or the YouTube short, please feel free to put them in the chat here. And yeah, we'll start drawing some stuff. It is Wednesday. We're going to start with a rugby. It is Mermaid as well. We might as well do that. Druid, hello.
Hello.
Oh, I need to set up the, looks really cool. Thank you. I need to set up the post. Start a poll. There we go. How are you doing today, Druid?
I'm doing pretty good. This morning when I woke up, I felt like I hit yesterday's workout just right. I'm
Nice.
just that perfect level of soreness.
Philip DeFranco did he's doing like a short news clips in the morning now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about body dysmorphism in young males because of seeing so much like having to be beefy. It's like bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
even though bodybuilding isn't really effective until you're like 15 and up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that today. It's just like all of the stuff that I went through when I was younger about feeling fat and just like going to the gym way too much is probably why I'm having so many body issues now, like physical issues because of all the protein shakes and like weird supplements I took. And it's just a bummer to think about that. So
Yeah.
that being said, I'm at a point in my life where I like working out because I like working out. So
Yeah. Same.
hopefully not toxic to myself anymore, which is gonna be good.
I feel like I'm really happy with where I'm at with my body dysmorphia. Of course, like having chronic illness does actually make it much harder,
Yeah.
but also at the same time makes it easier to become aware of your like body dysmorphia issues. So like it's this weird situation where I feel like I have more to overcome, but because I'm better able to see it, maybe I'm better able to tackle it. I don't know.
I realized like I've always felt very out of shape and very fat, and I'm at 210 now. The most I've ever weighed was like 235. Which when I hit 235, that's the amount I can bench. And I've always told myself if I can bench more than I weigh, I'm fine. And when I hit that number, I was like, oh no. so that was probably 8 years ago when I started like I have to not weigh this much, and it's taken me 8 years to lose 15 pounds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that does get much harder as you get older,
Yeah.
right? regardless of gender or anything else.
Yeah.
So,
but like the thought process of me, like I need to lose 15 pounds more, maybe 20 pounds would be good for my health. But like I've always felt that I look pretty similar. But I like looked back at pictures of myself this last weekend because I was at like a family reunion, and I was like, I was so skinny. I was so skinny when I was younger. Why do I feel the same way I did then? So there's definitely an issue with that.
Yeah. It's hard to see how you change over time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I hope that everybody who's listening to this does not feel pressured to work out if you don't want to, does not feel like you're bad or lazy for not exercising.
Yep.
If you don't, like, please don't feel that way.
Jared and I are on a path of self-improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, you don't have to hate yourself in order to want to do that, right? Like, in fact, it's much better if you... Spite is an excellent motivator. It's not great when you're using hatred of yourself to motivate yourself to change.
Yeah. Recently, a lot of my health problems are like medically required. My doctor's like, you need to change shit.
Yeah. Same. I am specifically strength training because it is good for toning down or the autoimmune response, and since I suffer from at least 5 one undiagnosed as yet autoimmune issues. It's kind of it's really important for me. So
I recently found out my primary houseplant named Jonathan is extremely medicinal. This is just like an aloe vera plant. This is pretty good. I lost what I was going to say here.
Oh, sorry.
No. It was something that popped into my head and I forgot what it was. Medical stuff's doing good. I'm healthier now. Oh yeah. So I was talking to one of my friends who's been struggling with weight for a long time. He's like, I need to get back into trying to do that. What have you been doing? Because I've lost like 10 pounds in the last 4 months. 5 months, and a big part of it was just straight up changing my diet. That's all I've really done. Like I've actually exercised less. Like I guess I've been going on more walks, so I've increased my aerobic a little bit, but for the most part I've been exercising less than I was last year. And I was watching a little interview with Penn Jillette, who lost a ton of weight because he's just kind of psychotic like that. But he had some really good thoughts on just like how to think about it, because what you were saying is like you don't have to feel like you hate yourself, and you don't have to be down on yourself to want to be healthier. And a big part of it was just like looking at what I eat and how I eat, and like realizing that there's a lot of things that I could change. So get out there, and if you want to improve your health, do little bits at a time.
Yeah, we have a workout tab in the Discord. I'm the one who posts to it most often because I think I'm the one who suffers the most probably from
you're probably the most
not working out
too, though. Like I just don't exercise enough.
You're way more disciplined about me with art practice, so
yeah, I'm lazy about that. About everything else in my life.
Yeah, we're good about different things.
Yep.
And yeah, anyway. No, it would be much harder for me to be as disciplined as I am about my exercise regimen if it didn't affect me so much.
Yep.
If I didn't feel so much better when I do work out, right? But anyway, yeah, we've got a workout Discord tab, so if you need encouragement, or I mean, I'm not really qualified to give advice, but I'm good at encouragement. If you want to see funny workout memes, I try to post some of those occasionally.
That's really what it is. It's just a support group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Support group more than anything else. Elvin here, hello. Oliver, hello. Oh, you've already been. I'm sorry, Oliver. I just read your name. Bionic. I was trying to say Bionic. It's a variegated aloe arborescens. It used to be treat skin cancer, radiation burns, and Hiroshima, and treat all kinds of stomach issues. Nice. My grandfather used to eat those. He would just eat them, and
Yeah.
he lived to be 86, something like that. Just not super old, but pretty old. It's a variable age.
Or, I mean, up to 20 years ago, that was decently old.
Yep.
Like even for America, you were doing pretty good if you made it 10 years past retirement age. So.
Yep. My grandmother had her 90th birthday this last weekend. That's where I was. That was pretty impressive. Impressive.
None of my grandparents made it that far past 90.
Yeah, my grandfather. I mean, how old was he? Maybe my grandfather was older than that.
Both my parents are the babies of their family, so
He might have been 90 something. I need to check that. I think my grandmother died at 86, and he was a few years older than her. But he died first. So maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I'll have to look up.
Yeah.
Either way.
I have no memories of one of my grandmothers. Most of my health issues I kind of inherit from her, and she lived before basically any of what I have is diagnosable. So,
oh man, I remember this is like kind of a weird, fun science fact. Some guy on YouTube was like, this was just one of those Joe Rogan quacks.
Yep.
He's like, medical science hasn't changed in the past 100 years. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, I remember one of my uncles had like really bad cataracts when I was a young kid, and everyone was just like, well, he's blind now. Like, that's just it. He's screwed. And then I saw him a few years ago, and he's fine, and he's driving and stuff. And I'm like, I thought his eyes were really bad. And then after talking to my doctor, because my eye had my eye issue. Luckily, I didn't have cataracts or anything. It was mechanical. They're like, oh yeah, we can fix all that stuff. Like, we have lasers, we have surgery. We'll just stick little robots in your eyeballs and fix stuff. And it's like, holy balls! Like, technology and medical science is hyper advancing, and the guy on YouTube is an idiot.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. I was very surprised.
That is, I think, the funniest thing about most of the people that Joe Rogan has on his show is that if you none of them ever provide sources, and if you look at anything that they say with any degree of scrutiny, it all falls apart immediately.
Yeah, cursory Google searches just disprove most of their shit.
Yeah.
It's always funny. Okay.
It's very funny.
This is my rugby squid. Kind of want to give him like the long testicle legs. I don't know what the hell they're called. One of the squid's legs is his testicles. So
the long whips,
yeah.
The ones that have like the spade end.
I mean, those are grabby predator things, but also testicles.
Well, yeah.
A bunch more incredibly helpful things, like moisturizing. Yeah, aloe vera is pretty neat. Succulents are pretty great.
Yeah. Well, they are actually pretty neat. They're very... Succulents and cacti in general are really, really weird.
It's one
Some of the
chemical. Yeah, don't eat them straight.
Well, it tastes like soap, right? So
yeah. It's like astringent and basic, I think is why. Like, they're not acidic, and so they just like they taste like drugs and powder. It's really gross.
Yeah.
And there's a company, I don't know, it might still be around, but was trying to make aloe vera drinks for a while. And I bought some of those, and it's just like, this is a thing, I guess. Like, very weird.
Well, aloe tea has been around and used for like gastrointestinal issues for basically as long as whatever civilization first discovered aloe vera. Discovered aloe vera. So
it's really hard for me, I used to get sunburned all the time because I'm an idiot. But a lot of the times now when you go to the store and you try to find like aloe vera to put on a sunburn, it's not aloe vera.
Yeah.
It's like aloe vera flavored glycerin shit. So I have to be really careful about that because I'm allergic to some of that stuff. And so it's like trying to find pure aloe vera gel is really tough sometimes. So, Squid Bee, Nord, hello. Welcome in. So that kind of stuff drives me crazy because aloe vera is really great, but it's actually kind of hard to buy aloe vera. It goes 3 meter tall and 3 meters wide. It'd be hard to move. Gotta hack it down. Gotta clean it. Take care of it. Love the aloe water they sell in stores, even super sugary packed. Yeah. Gotta watch out with those sports drinks. That's what we started this whole conversation with. Was my lack of knowledge when I was younger is probably why I'm so beat up now.
Well, I mean that's part of it. We definitely. I mean, back to the medical science we have today that we didn't have even 10 years ago. Like it used to be a very common thing to put formic acid, which is literally watered down formaldehyde, in protein powder.
Keeps it safe. keeps it from. It keeps life from happening inside of it.
Exactly. Keeps it from breaking. No, it was a preservative, but also I think it might also have had something to do with like pre-digesting. Anyway, I don't think they use that anymore. Our what's the term? Organic chemistry knowledge has also like super increased.
Exactly. Indestructible Boy, hello, welcome in. We are doing our character suggestion today. If you have one you'd like to see drawn, we can throw it on the list for you. Everyone should go check out Indestructible Boy's channel. It's good stuff. Lots of good content talking about I want to say like the health and the state of the tabletop RPG community. So I very much appreciate it. And yeah, no problem. Welcome on in. Hope your day's going well.
I only just learned about the Pinkerton thing with WotC.
It's funny, like not like it's funny, like what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. It's simultaneously like, wait, what? And also like that's horrible and horrifying.
A few of my friends are really, really into Magic the Gathering, and so they started when we went to play D&D, they just started going off about the new set. And I was like, yep. So Pinkertons, and they had no idea. Like for a good chunk of the Magic community that I know, they don't look at the news. Like they don't know anything that's going on with WotC. They just go buy the cards when the cards come out. It's really weird. So
that is kind of weird, and also kind of not surprising as to how they've been kind of exploited by WotC for so long.
Gremlin Gunslinger, I like it. It's going on the list. I heard that Skittles is being sued because it has titanium oxide in it, which is used to make it unsafe to eat. I have not heard about that. I know that Skittles has been trying to. I watched a YouTube video on this. They've been trying to make all natural colors for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, people don't like them. Like they don't look right. So they've decided to still keep doing it, but essentially they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that because people want the, hyper toxic colors. They just like it. And for the most part, a lot of the toxic colorings aren't necessarily bad for you unless you eat like a shit ton of them, which is true for everything. So
yeah. You should not be eating 7 bags of Skittles in a sitting anyway.
Right. Yeah. Like it's bad.
So at that point, it's not just the colorant that's killing you.
There have been situations where coloring in the past have been very toxic, and a lot of those are banned now. But a lot of the ones we have now are relatively safe.
Yeah.
And I say relatively safe because like the sugar content is actually more toxic for you than the amount of paint you get. So if you're eating enough of the paint to kill you, the sugar will kill you first, probably.
Yeah. After what is kind of being uncovered about the sugar industry right now, I'm more worried about the sugar than most of the other things that are happening.
Yep. Myself included, it's affecting me a lot, which is one of the reasons I had to change my diet. So
yeah, same.
I love sugar, but
I do too. If people don't know, by the way, there is. So you know how there were like tobacco papers.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yep.
Can I pause you for a second? Goldtooth, hello. King of Gold showed up. Don't worry. You do have to donate your coffee or gold coins this time. Thank you, Goldtooth. Thank you for $5. I appreciate that. I'm gonna roll my first thing, and then you can go off about sugar.
Okay.
I'm at that point where I need to roll some dice. yeah. We have 29 suggestions today.
Damn. I'd better hurry up with my mic in it then.
And I'm gonna catch up on chat here after I roll these dice. 23, a dark indigo tiefling with long white hair in a braid. Skilled illusionist. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Uses mobility aids. Rollator? I don't know what a rollator is. Or wheelchair, depending on how she's feeling. Cool. Okay. Let me catch up on chat. The stuff with the Pinkertons is happening all the time. No one's talking about it. That's why it started getting loud. Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. It's weird that they still exist, but like, I don't know. I like detective agencies, but strong-arm detective agency is not a cool thing.
Yeah, it's gross that they specifically exist as I cannot draw and think at the same time. It's gross that they still exist as union busters.
Yep, exactly. I already wasn't buying WotC products. I will send the Pinkertons after me for buying third-party products. Maybe they will. Second Vagabond funds. I'm going to fund full healthy diet, workout schedule, everything. That'd be good. Like, it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, it's really tough. Be careful. You will be more successful probably if you don't go cold turkey. If you like, be kind to yourself when you start a workout. It's really, really important to be kind to yourself and be forgiving whenever you screw up.
Apparently the amount is in small, but the amount in it is small. It's one of those things that's accumulated over time and never really should buy. Oh yeah, talking about the titanium oxide.
Oh, the titanium oxide, yeah.
The only disadvantage is that if you eat too much aloe, you can develop colon cancer. Oh, that's not good. But that would be too much to eat physically, anyways. Well, something to think about. Everything is about. Oh, I'm supposed to be in purple. We're in purple. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, it's all about dosage. Everything is poisonous. It's all about dosage.
Everything is poisonous. Yep. Everything is toxic. That's what it is. Everything is toxic. It's all about the dosage. Okay, so we're doing a tiefling with a braid, with a wheelchair. I don't know what the other word was. Maybe I should look that up. Maybe that would be interesting to draw.
I think it was just a fantasy alternate term for a wheelchair.
Okay.
Probably.
That could be.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know.
Everything in moderation. Yeah. Yep. Okay, go ahead. I totally lost what we were talking about.
Yeah. No. Sugar. So when tobacco companies were kind of in their heyday, they were doing like medical research to see how their product affected people physically. Basically for at least 20 years before it was generally known to anybody else, tobacco companies knew that tobacco was super toxic and caused cancer. There's those studies that were done and were buried by tobacco companies are generally referred to as, air quotes, the tobacco papers. There is basically the same thing happening with sugar industry, right? So there's tons of stuff that's now coming to light about how having it's not so much a blood serum glucose, but having a blood serum fructose concentration is super oxidative to your body. It causes huge amounts of oxidative stress. Basically super rapidly ages you. And anyway, there's tons of information about how addictive sugar is that is coming to light. And they are finding research basically that shows that the sugar companies have known this basically all along, including when they were lobbying to have sugar overtake fats.
Food pyramid stuff.
On the food pyramid stuff, like that started 50 years ago, I think. Yeah. So anyway, sugar's just scary, and basically sugar companies are about as bad as tobacco companies, which is not really surprising. I think that it's probably safe to assume that pretty much any large multinational corporation is probably about as bad as tobacco companies, or at least has the potential to be.
That's what I was going to say. It's like with everything we just talked about in the last 10 minutes, it's just large companies not looking out for people. So.
Yeah, no, they're looking out for the bottom line, not you.
Okay, illusory mage. I don't know if I've ever drawn somebody sitting down. Just going to put that out there.
Well, that's because it's 7 times more complicated.
Yeah.
I usually regret it. I've got a kind of like a background project where I'll do a D&D themed tarot card every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. I started that project and I never finished.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm plugging away at it very slowly, but on one of them I wanted to do an Empress card that was the Green Mother from Pathfinder. She's one of the eldest Fae.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have her sitting on her blood petal throne, and I never got past the chair.
Never got past the chair.
Drawing foreshortening on a throne is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
In perspective, it's
just remember, if you're not sure, rub the grease on a piece of paper, and if you can see through it, it's extremely unhealthy and full of grease and shit. That is a Dr. Nick fact from The Simpsons. It always made me laugh. Because I think at one point in time, Homer rubs a bucket of chicken on a wall, and it makes the wall transparent, and a bird flies into it. And that's just one of the best gags, I think. So good. Burning says, "Hey, I'm gonna be looking for a while. I'll get a grip lunch." No problem. I totally feel your pain, Drew.
The thing that kind of pisses me off about that a little bit is your body actually needs fat. You need quite a bit of fat actually, because there's vitamin.
I think the biggest misconception about all of this is sugar bad, fat bad, but there are so many different types of sugar and so many different types of fat that you can't just use blanket terminology like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big problems with cut out all carbs, cut out all fats. And it's stop talking. That's just bad.
Yeah. The same thing is also true of cholesterol.
Yeah. That's actually a good point for me specifically. I need to increase my my LDLs, I think. I might have it backwards. I'll have to look it up.
I think you could probably have it backwards. HDL is high density lipoprotein, which are the ones that are least likely to cause plaques, and LDLs are low density lipoproteins, which are more likely to cause plaques.
You're right. I have a low HDL, so I actually don't have enough of that in my blood.
Most people with a Western diet don't.
Yeah, I have a high cholesterol problem, but I have low good cholesterol. So I need to eat more good cholesterol and less bad cholesterol, which will net me less cholesterol in my blood, which makes very strange sense. But yeah. So it's just that's why it's so important to talk to your doctors and your nutritionists and just figure out what's going on in your body and go with that and stop listening to weird quacks on YouTube. Cough, cough.
Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to any of us. Best case scenario, we're anecdotal.
Yeah.
Best
At the
case.
very if you do take anything we say seriously, please be smart enough to go and research it, actually vet the information that I'm sharing with you. Please, I beg you, be better about vetting your information than a 10th grader.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Or a
I
Joe
believe in
Rogan.
you.
Or a Joe
Yeah.
Rogan. Yes. I don't use the drink death of the Mountain Dew for the longest time, and I almost believed it was going to kill me because after I stopped drinking it, my intestines stopped hurting. Right? Yep. I have. I stopped drinking caffeine in February, and then I've tried twice since then, and I thought I was going to die. I tried again over the weekend after I had a real day of stuff, and I was okay. And I was like, all right, great. But then after that, I realized I only drank a quarter of the can, and I was like, oh. It's apparently a quarter of a can of caffeine is enough for me to get the buzz I need. It's bad. My whole body feels way different now than it did in January.
All about the dosage.
Yep. Do a why you should play centaurs in D&D. I don't know if I've done. Yeah, I don't know if I've done a.
Yeah, I don't think you have.
A
I think you
quadruped.
Specifically avoided it because you hate drawing centaurs.
I do hate drawing centaurs, and horses are evil. So it's kind of a lose-lose for me. But no, centaurs are actually pretty fun. So
they are fun. They're a pain in the ass.
Thank you for the suggestion, Dragonwood. You need these things for biological functions. Eat enough, but don't eat 9 million pounds of candy a year. Yeah. Oh, I swore off Mountain Dew last year when I got kidney stone, right? Yep, that'll do it.
Yep.
Kidney stones are terrifying because you will wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I think I'm dying. I seriously thought my appendix had exploded. It was really weird. I got to the hospital and they're like, oh, you probably have a kidney stone. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, I don't know, just walk out of here then. That's stupid. And then it's like, oh, I can't walk right now. So I guess I'll stay here. Off topic, can we take a moment to appreciate opposable thumbs? Yeah, Oliver, thumbs are great.
Super much. I would not be able to do what I am doing right now without my opposable thumbs.
I actually know some people that draw without their thumbs, and it's crazy to me. Not that they don't have thumbs; they just don't use their thumbs to draw. They just they just monkey grip it.
I have tried drawing that way, and it has always felt super uncomfortable. I think that with
they're both really good artists. The two people that really do it.
With traditional media, it's easier for me. I can't do it with a pencil, but with new pastel or Conte crayon, I can get depending on on specifically how I hold it, I can get better control of the line I want to make. But there's absolutely no fucking way. I have tried it with my stylus, and there's no way I could draw without my thumb digital.
Sure. But most sodas are horrible. It's true. Oh yeah, I don't drink soda anymore. 100% thought I was dead. Taking artillery shell to the face. Kidney stones hurt much worse. It's good to know. It's good to know we have a reference. Horses are wonderful, but animators hate them. Yeah. Imagine trying to grab something and then realizing you don't have any thumbs. That would be scary.
Sounds like an actual nightmare somebody has probably had.
Like raccoons do their little grabby hands.
Yeah.
They seem to function pretty well, but still. I don't know if I woke up and had raccoon hands, I'd be a little...
Raccoons kind of have a pseudo thumb, though.
Yeah. They're I think they have they have a thumb, but it's just not opposable.
Yeah.
The muscle structure is probably hard to get right if you're more used to drawing humanoids. Yeah, so the issue with horses, for me specifically, it's not really an issue because I can do it. I've drawn horses. The problem with horses is that they have both vertical and horizontal proportionality that you have to draw into a human form. And so if you're trying to draw, depending on the perspective you're trying to draw, it's twice as complicated as drawing anything else. That's all it is to it. It's difficult because of that, but at that point you're really just having to do twice as much work. So otherwise it's pretty easy to get everything else put in there. It's just a matter of actually doing it, which is a pain in the butt.
Horses are just overly technical.
The other problem I've had with centaurs are a playable race in Pathfinder, and that's totally fine. But they are a very high RP build, just like drow are.
Yeah.
And so most of the time when people want to play centaurs, it's because they want to be a cavalier and they want to do ×4 damage with a lance. And it's just like, and they're just trying to break the game. And so most people play centaurs to break the game. And so I generally don't be okay with it because most of the time people are just trying to cheese. I was like, I don't want to do that. Dragon Lord, I don't know if you can hear me, but we were talking about this whole thing. The centaur videos, yeah. So it's on the list. It's just not gonna get done in this live stream. So a rollator is a walker, but with wheels on the bottom of the legs. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm locked into the wheelchair, so we'll do that. I love centaurs. Inspiration, yeah. I have weirdly big hands. I place my hands against others, and they can wrap my fingers halfway around theirs. Weird. That's a feat. That's a feat to have. You should do arm wrestling. Hey, Darren. Yeah. Then is it the same if I ask to draw a driver?
Rider or a driver?
Yeah, I'm a little confused over here. Then is it the same for you if asked to draw a driver? I assume you're trying to say drider, but yes, same thing. Like trying to get the proportionality right on the driders is tough because you have to have forced perspective, or you have to have like an orthographic view, and then the orthographic views look weird sometimes. So they all have the bends in all the wrong places. Exactly, yeah. Why not just draw elongated humans with extra pairs of arms and act like their front hooves? You can do that too, yeah. Yeah, just go arms all the way down. Centaur Tower. Then does that mean it's difficult to draw Drider? Yeah. Centaur barbarians. It does. Yeah, Driders are tough. Usually when I draw Driders, I draw them like from the front and then just put spider legs everywhere. That's the easiest way to do it. All right.
Yeah. Whatever you don't want to draw, you can occlude it or crop it.
Yep.
It's okay. It's a legit strategy.
Okay, so this has to be an illusory sorcerer. So I want like flowy clothes, but I think the arms need to be left free. They don't get caught in the wheels. Do something like this. Neck piece here. Oh, I was gonna put the ponytail over the top. Some good parts of the body are thick calves and intense. Questionable set of skills. I'm rolling with it. Fair enough. Riders are easier. I mean, I think all of it really is just like what you're familiar with, right? Like,
yeah, it absolutely is what you've trained yourself, not just to draw, but what to see.
Drawing horses really isn't hard, especially if you have reference. But
yeah,
they're a weird shape. They're a weird shape
yeah.
that people don't normally have to draw.
It also makes it a little bit easier if you have a basic understanding of not just like horse anatomy, but like vertebrate anatomy.
Yep.
Because basically all vertebrates are built more or less the same. So if you can if you have enough knowledge base that you can tell what's happening, that makes it much easier to draw.
You can draw a horse, you can draw a dog. You can draw a dog, you can draw a horse. You can draw a rabbit, you can draw both of those. It all works out. Animating horses, however, yeah. What if two people have to run in lockstep, and stay the exact same distance away from each other the whole time? Dogs, on the other hand, are like slinkies, so there's a little more play to it because they stretch. They have springs in the middle. Horses are very rigid.
Dogs are like slinkies. Cats are even more like slinkies.
This is how a horse do. I'm getting so distracted by the chat today. It's great. Very big and can't ride mounts, or the centaur can have a mount. So either PCs ride your centaur or your centaur can ride a mount. It's a binary. Yeah, I mean, I think basically anything that would allow you to do mounted combat, the centaur should have passively. So I absolutely allow it, but it does have a power scaling that is quite severe in comparison to other things. But the other thing is, like, just having a horse as a character can be really powerful. Like a battle trained horse can essentially take out anything a level 1 party can. Like, 5 goblins? No, they're scared of horses for a reason. Putting that out.
Yeah, there is a reason in Pathfinder. There is one of the most powerful weapons is a goblin exclusive weapon called a horse chopper.
Yeah, the horse chopper.
Basically, goblins hate anything that anybody else rides.
Goblin dogs are actually just giant rats.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what they look like. They're giant rats with mange so bad that they have no hair anymore, and their dandruff is so gross it causes like anaphylaxis instantly.
If you dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball. That's true. Ironic, I can just join in and you talk about horses. Nearly go seriously injured or work today because of a horse. Got very lucky. Oof, that's scary. I hope you're all right.
That's very scary.
Yeah. Could already see all of your screwed up creations that are going to be made in more in D&D. When it comes to the half races, I'm going to make a centaur kobold, half centaur. Yeah, do it. I mean, you could do that in Pathfinder right now. You can do that in 3.5.
Yep. Probably more easily because they have published tools for you to actually do it.
I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they do something like that for 2nd edition Pathfinder.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, I'm sure.
I really want I'm a little too bent on this. Drawing people sitting down is tough.
Yes, it is.
I also think I missed the perspective here for the knees. The knee should actually go like up to here. This is going to need to be a little bit bigger. Sorcerers don't need spell books. So what else would a sorcerer have? We'll make a good sorcerer thing. We could do.
I don't know. Sorcerers don't really need anything, so I just give them a fuck ton of jewelry.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Because it's like, I have this incredible lineage, and I'm super powerful just because of the way I was born. So you plebs all bow down and worship me.
That's what I would say if I was a sorcerer. Bow down to me. I was making a joke yesterday because I was playing Elden Ring, and the build I'm doing is called a bow wizard. Because I build all for magic and shooting this magical arrow bow thing I have. But then I just stopped doing it because it was not effective, and I started hitting people with this giant sword that knocks them over. And so I'm like, I'm still a bow wizard, but I'm gonna start pronouncing it bow, and I just start screaming. I started streaming that last night. I was like, bow down to me! And I just whack him with this giant hammer. I was like, I'm an idiot. I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore.
It's fine. You're allowed to have fun.
I guess so.
I was watching the Game Grumps play that it's basically Pokemon Snap, but with dogs. Yeah. And it very much struck me like, you know what? It's okay to like be an adult and just
enjoy something.
Yeah. Just absolutely take a stupid amount of delight in the things that are funny to you.
Yeah, the spider horse is good. Yeah, we got 2 new horses at the farm today, and they started fighting with our sheep. That's not good.
Uh-oh.
I made my infinite wisdom jump between them, and one of the horses charged me. Oof, scary. One of my uncles is missing his collarbone because it got kicked out by a horse. So, yep, horses are scary. They got rid of technically the official half races and made it so that we could now just take 2 races and combine them. Yeah, and that's
Finally.
Yeah, they needed to do that a long time ago.
Yeah.
The half races didn't make any sense all the way back to like 2nd edition, so it's fine.
I honestly am surprised it took them this long.
Gods, goblin dogs remind me. I put the inflection wrong. Gods, goblin dogs remind me of dog creatures from the movie Willow. Yeah, they're scary.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of warg, a little bit of chihuahua. It's great. They're right next to a forest, so deers and foxes and other such creatures are extremely common. There's a 6-foot-tall deer walking down the road with absolutely absurd antlers. Nice. Doing the Gandalf meme where he's a wizard, but he still runs the sword. Yeah, exactly. I do that all the time. I still cast spells, but I am also just the best spell is punch. That's all I'm saying. Mage punch. I think I've just drawn like a Professor Xavier wheelchair because it's the only one I have in my head. Probably should have grabbed some references.
Look, I can't be the only person who thought that if Professor Xavier's wheelchair were real, I wouldn't care so much about potentially losing mobility in my legs.
If hover chairs were an option.
Yeah! Sure. If hover chairs were an option, nobody would use their legs anyway.
Just the Wall-E future.
I mean, kind of. Alright, I'm finally done with my Myconid.
Alright.
Still rolling D20, I assume? 25?
Roll a D20
26?
and a D10.
Okay.
This is supposed to be white hair.
17.
17. Starfinder, Elder Thing Witch Warper. Elder Thing Witch Warper. I don't know what any of that is. My Starfinder
Elder Thing.
After the whole charging horse thing, all I could think about was, imagine if I were so angry knight on top of that. He would kill me. Yeah. You can only imagine how scary cavalry chargers were. Terrifying, yeah. Cavalry is terrifying. Giant muscular 4-legged creatures with highly trained man coated in the middle. Yeah, there was something like when I was growing up, went to a lot of like rodeos and stuff, and so like there's always like my grandfather would let us ride his horses and stuff, but for the most part he just had like show horses. He didn't have like big the big horses that a lot of the like workhorses are terrifying. Like we're talking about hooves the size of plates. Like they're massive. And that's always what I'm talking about when I like horses are terrifying. It's because they're massive. They're just massive creatures. And while they can be very sweet and nice, they can also just not care about you and step on you.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's because I was a short kid and I understand why goblins hate horses. Like you're gonna get stepped on.
My mother taught European-style equestrian riding and jumping briefly, and the amount of times I saw her in the hospital when a horse freaked out about the stupidest thing and threw her and then trampled her has given me a very healthy respect for even extremely well-trained horses.
Yep.
If a horse is willing to freak out because the flowers it's jumping over are plastic, which happened,
what is
then
this?
you can't trust. You can't trust. Like, look, horses are prey animals. They're designed to spook, right? You can't trust them.
Demon flowers. Okay, I think I'm about done with this one. I'm not sure what else to do except just add a ton of detail, but I've spent a lot of time on it, so I'm gonna kind of a little bit more of a complicated one to begin with.
Interesting. Okay, so a witch warp is kind of a Starfinder Rune Knight or Echo Knight. Is that what it was?
Okay.
But it actually looks way cooler to me than what 5e had. Sorry, Mercer. So it's a partial caster that gets spells up to 6th level. They have weapon proficiencies as well. So maybe it's more like a Starfinder witch-based Magus.
Okay, I can see that.
Anyway,
7 feet tall. Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it looks cool. And an Elder Thing is, as far as I can tell, a winged sea slug, eldritch horror from space.
All right. Best of luck.
Thanks. This might take a while. I'm going to do a little bit more research, find a little bit more reference.
I could definitely see a sorcerer or a wizard making a hover chair. That would be pretty awesome. Like, permanency with levitation? Yeah. Oh, man. That would be awesome. I guess you could just levitate yourself, though. But I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I used to... Nah, it's a bad story. I'm going to tell that story. It's just not interesting. Levitating chairs. Pretty cool. Okay. I think I'm about done there. I don't know what else to add to that. Maybe... Ooh, what if she's got, like... just a whole bunch of wands lined up?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Can't learn spells like a wizard. Next best thing is to just pay a wizard to enchant all of the wands.
I love wands for magic casting. Like I want to be a fighter with wands just all over my armor.
Yeah.
Or like spell scrolls. Clerics with spell scrolls I think are really fun. It's just like, you know what? Fireball. It's like, what? You can't do that. It's like, oh, but I can. I need one of these.
I agree. Wands is one of the things in 2nd edition Pathfinder that I'm more than a little bit frustrated with.
Yeah, I was looking into that. I think they missed something with the wands in Pathfinder 2nd edition, so I'm hoping they'll have an update for it.
Yeah, same.
It doesn't feel like they fully fleshed it out. And it might be maybe the 2nd edition revamp will have more information in it. Yeah, because it's the same thing with a lot of their items. Like,
yeah, a lot of it feels like, unfinished.
Yeah, the potion crafting and spell crafting is like, oh, you can get 2 free spells up to level 2, and it's like, from where? Like, there are none. You didn't include any. Like, same thing with tattoos. They're like, pick one of the 5 tattoos. It's like, there's no tattoos to pick from. What are you talking about? So we'll see how that goes. Wand slinger, yeah. Go all dressed in files with it. Exactly. Like, just spend the time, craft the wand, do it. All right, we're moving on. Here we go. All of these will be posted in the Discord, by the way, later if people want to take them and use them for their games. You're very welcome to. 15.
I don't know how useful this elder thing is going to be, but I'll draw it anyway.
A human cane sword fighter gentleman. Nice. Do you guys do homebrew in newer classes? We do. The thing about homebrew is, it needs to be something that we can reference, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've done a bunch of random fish for like fish people, or like panther-based Khajiit, stuff like that. So that kind of stuff is okay, but like I don't want someone giving me like a paragraph of describing their homebrew race creation and or fetish, because that's a thing that's happened too. So Yeah.
It's probably easiest, I think, if you have something official as a base and then kind of denote how you want to change it.
Yeah, exactly. 2 classes that are homebrew. Yeah, it just depends. Oh, like the classes? Yeah, then I would honestly just pick the closest thing that is relative to it. Because we're not doing like commission pieces, it really should be. It's supposed to give us the freedom to do whatever we think is neat. So like I said, you have a sentence. That's why the rule is 1 sentence. You have a sentence to describe what you're trying to do, because it needs to be vague. The mechanics in game, you would be able to make your character weigh about 0 pounds thanks to magic and magic items and class choices. This is so min-maxing, it really blends the rules. How so? I mean, I just question with that because, like, yeah, levitation essentially makes you weightless. So, a level 1 spell would just do it.
Yeah,
and with the fly spell, level 5 fly spell, just with permanency on it. Yeah,
totally. I mean, the air genasi gets levitation for free at level 1 as a spell-like ability, just passively as their race. Like, levitation is not really game breaking unless your GM is not thinking about their battle map in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, I think it goes the same way with the flying video I made.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you are looking at giving a player levitation early on, it's just like a passive feat, which is totally a thing. Some races can do that. You're essentially giving them a hover speed, and you're making it so that holes no longer are an issue. But things like heavy winds are now an issue. Things like projectiles hitting them or people pushing them are an issue. So like it shifts the game. It doesn't really break it, it just shifts it. Because if you have levitation on constantly and somebody grapples you, they can now throw you anywhere they want, regardless of their size.
Yeah.
You just get to go flying.
Or like they can tie you up and just kind of pull you around like you're a balloon.
Inside of a kettle pot and use it as pretty much an airplane to whack people upside the head with it. I guess. Are you casting levitation on an item or yourself? I think I remember this story. You guys made like basically a flying tea kettle. Made yourself weightless so you could carry it around. I still think that's just way too many steps for what you're trying to achieve. A huge back to what I said before. I have aloe. I will do. Did you accidentally eat the wrong aloe vera plant? Is that what just happened? Your entire campaign gets deleted by a level 5 wizard. You're making a bad campaign. Yep. And that's I'm still on the fence about that. If a flying player derails your campaign, then your campaign needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
But only if someone wants to play a flying character. Like that's the big thing. I think a lot of times the reason people get upset is because they don't plan for it, and then someone's like, oh, by the way, I decided to be this. And it's like, well, that fucks everything up. It's like, yep, you got to fix all of it now. So that's why it's important to talk to your players and get their feedback and their wants. Because if somebody really wants to play a flying character, I just do it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I love playing flying characters. And there are really easy ways to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Go watch my flying video.
Yeah. Last Saturday, Rook wasn't able to be there, but I ran an encounter for Corvus and a couple of and Burning and a couple of our one of our other friends, and like flying creatures were a part of it. Like if you as the GM can leverage flying creatures, like it's not difficult to be able to also prepare for flying players. And one of the things that I did in order to kind of limit the player's ability to shoot my flying creatures out of the sky, and something that you can use in order to keep your flying players from being able to just indiscriminately rain hell down on your players is to think about terrain and think about things, cover and things that will obstruct vision.
Yep.
That's just one thing you can do.
Yeah,
There's plenty.
I think the biggest, on that same note, like something that a lot of people don't think about because they have that video game mentality of like, once fighting has started, everybody fights to the death. If a bunch of bandits attack you and one of your players flies into the sky and starts raining down arrows, they're probably going to run for cover.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And then if that means the fight's over, that means the fight's over. And then it's like, every time I fly up in the air and dominate people, they run away. It's like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And then next time they're going to bring bows and they're going to fight back. So like, it's there's a lot of ways to get around it without it being really janky and stupid. So
yeah.
like
Speaking of running away, Corvus, did you tell Rook what happened?
Yes,
I did.
Yeah.
It started with Corvus saying, "I've doomed my character again." All right.
Well,
an awakened undead human.
Yeah.
That's easy enough. Tall, slender Kensai monk wearing a mask and a helmet. Lightly armored, uses her sword. Reference to Toji's sword from JJK. I don't know what that is.
Oh, I know what that is. I can send the reference.
All right. JoJo's Killing Adventure?
No.
Okay.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I've heard of that. No idea what it is. Louise wasn't Tyrannosaurus, Hasted, Future Sight, Stone Skin, Reptile, Doom. We tried to do that one time. Yeah, I don't know. It's just too much. Like, a Tyrannosaurus is a great thing. You don't need to spice it up. Then again, I've had an undead Tyrannosaurus fight. That was really fun. So maybe there's a little bit of shenaniganry that can be involved. What were we just talking about? Flying creatures?
Yeah, flying creatures. And for chat's reference, just so I don't leave you all hanging, what happened is, the players were hunting manticores and discovered the hag crazy cat lady who was keeping a couple as pets. They killed one, and one ran off, and then the hag ran off. And so now I get the fun of getting to build a hag coven that now gets to attack the Adventurers Guild.
I kind of hope the hag coven is just one lady and like 1,000 cats. I always remember in my group that we tried to do a lot of stupid stuff and most of it never worked. Thank God. Yeah, you guys follow the rules. Like trying to break the game within the bounds of the rules is like, it's a whole style of play.
Yeah,
I've had a few friends that are really into it. When they come up with something that's really, really funny, and then they're like, "Well, I'm done," and then, like they stop playing the character. They're just like, "I did the thing. Now it's time for a new one." So I've never been into that because I really like playing characters a lot. But yeah, it's just a different style of play.
Yeah. I agree. I prefer roleplay for the same reason, because I feel like I get more out of my character and can play them for longer.
Yeah. I learned that multiclassing is actually really hard when mixing spellcasters and other melee classes. What can I do to better combat this when planning out my characters? I don't know if I'm the best person to ask about that. I'm not great at multiclassing. I'm a mono green player, if that makes sense to anybody.
I understand that that's a Magic the Gathering reference, but that's as much as I got.
So Magic the Gathering is basically shifted to multicolor decks is the standard now. So you play blue, white, red, green, and if you play a monocolor deck, it's generally weaker because you don't have the benefits of having the multi-class. And so that's kind of the thought process of it. So for me, I don't multi-class a lot because I like having that purest idea of like, okay, I am a fighter. I'm going to play a fighter to my heart's content. But I have done stuff where I've dipped to get abilities. So like my crafter cleric is a fighter wizard cleric. because I just wanted access to things. So yeah, I'm not sure if people have planning on multi-class pathings. That's the problem. It sounds like it. Yeah. So maybe Indestructible can jump in here if you feel the want to. But for wide scale multi-classing, I think the best thing to do is just plan out the things that you need, and then and make sure you get those early. So like I try to make them as thematic as possible, because if you're just dipping in and out of things, it doesn't make a lot of sense for like a level 5 fighter to all of a sudden be like, I'm a wizard now. And it's like, well, maybe you started as a wizard, took 1 or 2 levels in wizard, and now you're building up to being that high level fighter. Thematically, those never made sense to me. But like finding out you're a sorcerer, that can be fun. Deciding to spend some time to become a wizard can also be fun, but that's less important to really find those powerful paths, because you're focusing on the RP. So that's kind of my thing. Is if you just want the numbers, yeah, I'm not sure how to do it very well.
Yeah, me neither.
No, yeah,
sure. I will say, if you want to multi-class, stick with D&D. Pathfinder is not great for multi-classing.
Yeah, if you want to jump on the voice chat, we're in the Discord. I can give you the permission to do so if you want to do that. But selling your soul to become a warlock, that's the one I do a lot. Yeah, I've done that to quite a few players. I've tricked them into selling their souls for different vampire powers. So
I don't think you had to trick Gurna.
No, Gurna was way into it. It was great. Oh, here we go. Okay. Indestructible boy, hello. Let me give you the unmute button here. You should have permission to. Can I mute and then unmute you? Uh-oh, why isn't this working?
It may be where you've had set done a community.
Yeah, I think I'd have to give you a you're a bugbear today. That might not work. Hold on. How about that? Now you should be able to unmute yourself.
Can I?
Uh-oh. Hold on, we'll figure this out. One of these will work.
Don't ask me. I am not technically proficient enough to help out with this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
I was looking like
keep granting you role administration powers until you can just jump in here. That should be. I think that's it. You might have to unmute yourself, but that should give you access. I hope. If not, please let me know.
or maybe hop out and hop back in.
That could do it too. That could do it too.
Did that work?
There we go.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I did the smart.
How's it going? I know how Discord works.
It's all good.
Yeah, how you doing?
What's
today?
up? I'm good. I'm good. I'm just anxiously watching these Kickstarter numbers go up right now.
Oh yeah, is that active right now? Is that live right now?
The Vagabond Kickstarter is still going. We got 10 more days to go, and we're like barely under the realistically, like, so the thing with Kickstarters is you get like 90% of the funding on day one and the final week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're like basically just under the projection to hit full funding if the final week funds for what the first day did.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like
Well, if you want to get a link set up in the Discord, I can copy that and I'll put it to the YouTube and we can try to get that going.
oh shit, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I want to see the Vagabond stuff happen. I think that'll be great. If you guys haven't checked that out, I highly suggest it. It's really cool.
I guess I'll just send that to you on Discord.
Yeah, you can do that. There's also a promote yourself tab if you want to post it there, or I can post it later. That's fine.
Sure.
Let me catch up on chat real quick. Depending on what you want out of multi-class, if you're a primary martial but you just want cool spells but not the RP reasons, magic items are usually easier. Yeah, and that's for me, the feats of like the initiate feats is usually enough of what I want out of a class. Like, so instead of dipping like the wizard aspect, if you're doing like an Eldritch Knight or something, which I really enjoy, the feat is usually enough. Like just grabbing the feat and having that or making it your subclass works really well. For Pathfinder, same thing. Like multi-classing is really only necessary if you want to take that wizard level so that you gain like the ability to read magic, the ability to use wands, the proficiencies. So multi-classing is kind of, I feel like, going away, especially with second edition. Pathfinder second edition, they're doing the archetype feats, which I really love. And it's just a feat based thing instead of having to like dip into anything else and screw up your stats. So
Yeah, I like, I mean, the thing for me with like 5e specifically is like multi-classing is typically done for one thing in particular, and that's like spell sword. And you know, it's cool for like if it's building into a certain play style, like sure. But this is also a big reason why like I got into like class design, was because like I really liked multi-classing originally for being able to get more character expression out of like the base classes.
Sure, yeah.
But eventually it just turned into like I can't really do what I'm wanting to do right now anymore with the base system. Like, I mean, I got into 5e in like 2015, 2016, and it was like back then, how were you supposed to make an alchemist?
Yeah, and for me, a lot of the way I did that was just blended from Pathfinder, because it's like these things work really well in Pathfinder. I'm just gonna copy it over, because 5e just didn't have the robustness of like the feat functionality and to really make multi-classing viable, unless you were dipping like just into Warlock to get the cantrips. And
right,
it never felt good to have like a 5 of something and a 5 of something else. It was like 1 in something or 3 in something and then everything else the other thing, which I think is more accessible from feats. Or oh man, that woodpecker's back. Damn.
Like I get what they were going for with like Tasha's with a lot of those, where like, you know, Eldritch and Initiate and all that other stuff.
I like those.
Yeah, my worry with that originally was like, you know, it kind of ruins some of the uniqueness of some of the classes in a way.
It does. That's
where
true.
like meta magic was suddenly getting thrown around to everybody because like it's so cool for sorcerer, but sorcerer's not fantastic. So
I can agree with that.
You know,
I tend to look at those feats specifically as a way of the DM to grant somebody something. And I really like using it for that aspect of just being like, you know what, I'm going to give you this feat and you can pick a level 2 spell because of this, you know, our magical armor or this pact that you've made, or because of a boon that you're gaining from this magical creature. Like different things like that. It worked really well to do that. But once again, that's just a stopgap for homebrew. Like it doesn't actually change the character creation very well.
Yeah, it's so funny you say like, man, Eldritch Armor getting removed from like the UA to Tasha's was like the most sad thing for me. I was like, that was the funniest feat they had ever written, and then it just like didn't wind up, and I was like, I get ya, but like, man, it would have been so fun to see that work out. Like, oh god,
was that like Eldritch Armor? Sounds like you have tentacles that
so basically it was, you had to go pack Moon of the Blade with it.
Okay.
So you take that prerequisite. It was a way for Pact of the Blade to be able to get heavy armor.
Gotcha.
So like,
ooh, that would be cool.
But one of the funny things with it was it's like you can touch a suit of armor and use your action to immediately don it.
Ooh, that would have been really cool.
And it was just goofy how it was like you could go into an armory and just like touch a suit of armor and then like put it on yourself real quick. And the other like perk to it was that while you're wearing it, you're proficient with it. And it was good. It was a really good feat, but everyone was just talking about using it for shenanigans, and it definitely would have been too strong. But God, was it funny?
My first thought was just walking up and stealing somebody's armor. Just like,
Yeah.
this is mine now. Let's see what chat's in here. Heads up, HP Lovecraft himself did a pic of his Eldritch thing if you want to look it up. Oh, I've never seen that one.
Yeah.
The woodpecker appears, boss battle music starts to play. That's what's in my head all the time now. Every time I hear that, brrr, it's like, woodpecker. Insert spider dance. There we go. That's what we need. Need some spider dance.
Oh, I like nearly forgot why I even came. That one person was talking about like planning multi-classing.
Yeah.
So the issues seem to be you unlock so many more powers. I was trying to get caught up with that. I mean, the main issue with multi-classing, I mean, if we're, you know, not getting into like a critique of the system or anything. If I'm talking about like me as a player, why would I not want a multi-class, whatever. I'm looking at like delaying certain powerful abilities, delaying potential ability score improvements. I mean, if you multi-class for 2 levels into anything, you're going to immediately lose out on that 19th level. I mean, if you're planning to play till 20th level. But it does put you a bit behind in terms of the flat numbers that your character is going to be dishing out. It's...
Yeah.
In general, that's why I say like a dip is like, I try not to plan for any more than 3 levels.
Yep. That's about as far as I would go too.
Yeah, same.
Now there are certain multi-classes that is just like amazing to get on anybody. If we're talking about just like base 5e, 2 levels into fighter is like the best thing you can do with 2 levels in this game.
Yeah, because
like,
that gives you second wind.
Action
right?
surge.
Action surge. Yeah.
You get action surge, and you're just that feature is so good on everybody. There's a reason they nerfed it.
It's so funny because I've had a few people take that and then be like, "What do you mean I can't cast 2 spells in the same turn? I took levels in fighter to do that." It's like that's why it's described that way, so that people can't do that, because yes, double spells is super powerful.
The moment you get rid of like, you know, since they got specific with it, if you can't cast spells with it, I know people are like, "Oh well, this directly nerfs Eldritch Knight," and it's like, right, it should have never been able to have done this in the first place.
Like, is so much fun. But yeah.
Other than that, like, you know, if you, depending on what all you're playing with, if it's all the official books and everything, feats, I think you guys were just talking about that a little bit ago. Feats that grant, like, you know, the half feats, we call them in the design scene. I guess most people call it that, but like, where you get the ability score improvement of a +1, and then you get the mechanical benefit on top of that. Those are typically given to you to like give you a slight mechanical like facelift. So like they're giving you a perk that usually enhances an action you're typically taking in combat, and then they're also like, well, on top of that, we want to give you a little bit more oomph to it. I think mobile, right? Mobile's a half feat.
Yeah, it gives you a proficiency in like strength or dex. I don't remember. Like dex.
Yeah, I was about to say. I thought it was also. No, wait, it's not. Okay, what am I thinking of?
Alertness.
Mobile's also just incredibly strong. Oh man, what am I thinking of? I know Resilient does, but Resilient is so scary good. There's some of the ones that are so simple that like, boy, Resilient doesn't have to say much, but like, woof, that is, you don't hear of enough people talking about that feat.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that one again. I think I've taken it on a fighter, but
you just straight up get a saving throw proficiency, and you improve the ability by 1.
Oh yeah.
So like, I mean, it's particularly good for like picking up Dex, Wiz, or Con. I mean, if you're multi-classing, that's one of those ones that I'm like, hey, you're not going to get this other class's saving throw proficiency. You might want to be eyeballing this one, but yeah. Actor is one. Okay, thank you, Burning Palace. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are always decent, but like, I personally just prefer picking up feats for like, there's something I want to do in the game that I just can't with the base class, like Sentinel. Sentinel is just one of my favorite feats for flavor, and I love hardcore tanking.
So versatile, yeah.
Yeah.
Any melee class, I love it. Let's see what chat's saying here. I almost forgot about the reanimated beholder eye. We turned into an anti-magic deterrent field. I like that idea, by the way. I think anti-magic fields are fun items to play with. Why 3.0 to 3.75 Pathfinder version 1 is best. Epic level player handbook. Epic level is fun, yeah. Combat users are more useless now. Made magic users more powerful now, and if you really want to play the game, you have to play magic casters or get it performed by a magic caster. Yeah, like I think that's part of the fantasy aspect of D&D, is especially when 5e came out, like the warrior was just so powerful, and then it drops off so fast.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't ramp. It doesn't ramp very well, and so the spells having a continual ramp per level just kind of outpaces fighter very quickly.
Yeah.
And especially with like cantrips scaling as well. It's like melee damage needs to scale differently. And Pathfinder does a really good job with that now because you get extra dice, additional dice, higher dice. And I think that's a good way forward for that. And I really do. I think you're right about feats. Like feats should be the way you customize your character versus going into different classes. But there's also like I still am so like on the fence about sorcerer as a whole. Sorcerer should be a heritage feat tree.
I agree.
Like, because if you're a sorcerer, great, you're a sorcerer, but can't you be studying magic as a wizard or a fighter and still have that bloodline that you adapt into your class? Like it's one of those weird things. Same thing with a warlock. Warlock doesn't feel like a lifelong profession. It feels like a circumstance that happens to you that should just be added on through a feat tree. I think would be really cool. So.
I think that's mostly a problem with the way that they built out some of the classes in 5e. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, you can be like, oh, I had this innate gift and that's what made me interested in being a wizard in the first place. You know, like, absolutely, I can see that. But a big part of the issue is that there's like zero class identity in most of the full casters.
Yeah.
I mean, with wizard, they were like, what's the flavor of the class? Just a lot more spells. Oh, okay. What's sorcerer? Less spells, but you can change the spells around. Okay, like, gotcha, right?
Yeah.
So, like in Vagabond, what I was doing, this was something I was like trying to address like real quick. I've got a VOD up about this, but it was like one of the thoughts that actually inspired one of the games that inspired my design there was Settlers of Catan. So there's two ways that you can play, like two strategies kind of in Settlers of Catan, where like you build a really wide empire or a really tall empire. Wide means you settle a lot of cities and you build a lot of roads and whatever. Tall is you're trying to build the cities that you have settled up really tall so you get a whole lot of resources. And to me, like wizard makes a lot more sense for like wide play where you can learn like a bunch of different spells, but not necessarily like you're able to get the full throttle out of those spells. And sorcerer is able to like build really tall where they don't get a ton of spells, but the spells that they have are like, ooh, scary, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll.
That's That's kind of like first edition Pathfinder, because the difference between the two in first edition Pathfinder was essentially that, right? It was wizards have the ability to learn basically all the spells, whereas sorcerers were limited, but sorcerers learned their spells faster.
Yeah.
So they had access to higher level magic earlier.
I'm going to be drawing an Ifrit Orc Samurai that is blind.
What was that?
The next one I'm going to be drawing is a Ifrit Orc Samurai.
Oh, nice.
They're a blind swordsman. So. And I have to switch to green. The chat has switched to green, so I do that.
Man,
okay.
Now that I don't know who it was that just did that switch over. Have you are you following A Shipwright on Twitter?
A Shipwright. That sounds familiar.
Oh my god, he's like my favorite, just like heavy black line, single color highlight artist.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
It's just it's some guy over in South Korea, and like nobody knows his name or anything like that, but he's been doing this whole like fantasy world told throughout these like pieces that he's doing, and it's just, oh my god, it's
awesome.
It's almost like you're kind of unraveling like this world lore he's built through the pieces. It's so cool.
That would be fun to do, almost not a comic book per se, but just kind of, I guess Dinotopia was kind of the first thing I ever saw that was like that. It's like, here's just a snapshot of this universe through art, through pieces of art. That could be really fun to do. I also forget about the... Oh, wait, no, I read that one. D&D made combat users... I read that, sorry. Summons the clay golem to take care of the woodpecker. That would be really funny. I'd have like a chimney spirit just fended off my woodpecker. Actors 1. Okay, I hope you get my PM since I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I saw that. It's just when people message me in Discord while I'm on the stream, I have to like move over and see things, so I generally can't respond to them. I saw that you sent me a message. I just didn't actually get to it.
Yeah, I'll be back in just like 30 seconds.
Sure, no problem.
No worries. You know, Rook, one of these days we're going to get you another monitor.
I have 3 monitors. I need no
Yeah,
more. I
need
just
more.
like that's the problem with Discord is like I have to go to my mouse because I'm not using my tablet and for that. Go to my mouse, go to Discord, go to the new chat that someone's talking to, read it, respond to it, go back to the Discord. It's a whole thing. It's a whole process. So I generally when people message me on Discord, I just ignore it. So until after the stream and then I will respond to them.
Fair.
Okay, we're doing samurai, orc samurai, Freet orc samurai, which makes me want to make it a lady because I think all the Frits should be women. I don't know why. The burning hair is awesome. I want it to be great.
I mean, look, in Skyrim, the Flame Atronarchs were 1, the hottest, and 2, the coolest. So
I give martials maneuvers. Yeah, I really like. I think that's a good way to kind of balance it out as well. It's not the superiority dice build for fighters. I always do Eldritch Knight, so I don't know any of the other fighter builds.
Oh, they could get rid of superiority dice, and it would be, the system would be better for it.
I think so too. It was an interesting idea, but like, it's unnecessary. But all of the combat maneuvers you can do, I think, should just be for all fighters. Like combat maneuvers as a fighter thing should be across the board. Same thing with like gunslingers. Gunslingers should have a whole slew of just unique things they could do, which they've done through Pathfinder. And, yeah.
Have you seen my review of Heavy Arms Gunslinger?
I don't think I have. At least if I did, I don't remember it very well enough.
Heavy just figured it out. He released this thing about a year or 2 ago, I want to say. It feels like it's been a while. But I had it playtested at my table about a year before he was releasing it. It hits all the right marks. Like I love the Western infused kind of like Weird West fantasy.
Yeah.
And I was just really picky about like what I would want on my table as like the gunslinger, and Heavy just nailed it. It's so good.
I'll check that out. YouTube crash. What happened? Oh, I don't know. Is it back? I hope it's back.
it's been fine for me.
Okay. You know what it is? Further math time. Oh, homework time. Good luck. Good luck with math. Math is a pain in the butt. Flame ones were the hottest. It's in the name. Flame Archons are really cool. Love playing the Archromancer. I don't know what that one is. Because the fighter it in themselves, it's really good, but somehow doesn't level well based on which subclass you do. Yeah, and that's kind of what we're saying is like part of the need for multi-classing is because they have these discrepancies in leveling. And so I really do think the system they have set up works well as a whole, but it has holes in it. That was a really weird way to say that. So and that's why I would think like the magic class systems for like sorcerer and warlock really should be inherently built into the other magic casters as well, and things like the maneuvers for some of the fighters or like the eldritch invocations really should be available to a lot more melee classes. And I think that would improve like ranger and stuff too if you had a lot more magic capable things.
Yeah,
and I think Tasha's
agree.
started dealing with that, right? Like Tasha's was the first attempt of them being like, okay, so we need to kind of revamp how we're thinking things,
Right.
and I think it's a good step, and hopefully D&D 1 they'll actually spend some time to think about it and make good decisions.
Maybe. I don't really care though. I'm not investing in D&D 1.
That's fair.
I am insofar as I know as a designer I kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean if
Totally.
you're a third party publisher, you just like you've got to continue making content in that way. But like, you know, for me it's like that's going to be side projects, and my new system's going to be like the main bread and butter.
Yep. And that's a good way to look at it. Like
Yeah.
there's always a stance when it comes down to being like a designer or working in a field, especially as a freelancer. You can't ignore the big fish. Like to think that you can make something that's completely better than the big fish and ignore it is just folly. Like you have to see what people are playing, how people react to it, and then adapt. And that's where those big companies usually fail. It's because they don't adapt. They're just like, we're the big guys. We can do whatever we want. It's like, okay, like, yeah, people are still going to buy your stuff, but like it influences the community as a whole. So
Yeah.
I probably won't buy a lot of D&D 1 stuff, but I still have to know what it is. Like I still need to read it. I need to look at it. So that's just,
I mean,
since I just play and DM, I don't.
Yep.
Because I know what I want to run, and it's not that.
and that's perfectly all right.
The thing for me, I mean, talking about like the martial magician split, I guess we'll say. The trade-off for me should really be that, like, if you're playing a spellcaster, you know you're going to be tracking resources because, like, it's what you need to cast spells.
Yeah.
And I think the fault of 5e is that they made marshals track resources. So, like, you have to track uses of rage. You have to track uses of a hunter's mark with spell slots, apparently.
Yeah.
You need to track uses of action surge and, our superiority dice. And I think the fault for me, I see it as like marshals don't need to be tracking stuff. Like they should be. They are about reliability, right? They're not necessarily rolling just dice for damage. They're also adding in modifiers. So like, I mean, the trade-off there is, blasters, like your spellcasters, they get AoE. They get more damage in a bigger area. So I think the dynamic could still exist, but like ultimately, I think the thing that's going to make marshals feel better is going to be, this would be if WotC was to call me and ask for like a consultation, I would be like, the thing we should probably focus on is reducing down how much tracking is in marshals. Make their stuff like reliable, That
was interesting thinking about like 4th edition, because 4th edition that was the biggest downfall to it, was there was just so much stuff to keep track of. So much so that like the only few times I did play it, I had to play with decks, like class decks. And what that was is it like, here's all of the things you have to track. You have a deck of cards out in front of you. Right. And you're just like, you're fiddling with it. And like, even with
I thought you were like shorthanding dexterity. I was like, wait, what?
No, no, like decks of cards. It was legitimately weird. Rangers need a buff. Yeah, I can see that. But also, I think Rangers are just kind of misused for what they are. Really, if you want to be like a ranged fighter, I think they need to bring back the Arcane Archer to like its full potential, as well as the fighter being a ranged class, and then the Ranger needs to be a archer-based druid. So, yeah, I don't know.
I think 2nd edition Pathfinder as Ranger is probably my favorite iteration of anything that I've played. Granted, I've only really played Pathfinder 1st edition and 5e and looked a little bit at 3.5. I haven't actually played anything in it, so.
The Shadow Stalker is, it's nice. I like it a lot. It feels very much like that ranged damage dealer that it was supposed to be. But it's very situational again, and that's kind of once again the problem with the Rangers. That it's very situational, and you have to basically have a campaign built for Rangers.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like I, me personally, my play style needs they don't have to be a jack of all trades, but they need to be useful in more than just one situation, and that has always been my biggest gripe with Rangers.
Well, I really like the fact that they are embracing the identity of Ranger as an expert coming up here. Rather than it being the kind of odd nature paladin that it is in 5e.
Yep.
I mean, realistically, if you're looking at Ranger right now, it's a warden. It's like Ranger to me should feel closer to a rogue than it does to a paladin or a druid. Honestly, like. I think it should be like, if Hunter's Mark is so integral to Ranger's identity, then like make it a Ranger feature.
Yeah. Like, once per turn, use an action.
Yeah.
Like, done.
I think that there's video games that have done Ranger so much better than D&D has done Ranger.
Yeah. And I think
agree.
Yeah, I think right now it's built in a way that it could go any of those directions, and because it doesn't go any of those directions really strongly, it just feels really weak.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good NPC class because you can make somebody an expert, and I think that is a good way to do it. But yeah, like each of the different specializations make it go one of those ways of like more druid, more rogue, more fighter, and it needs to start in one of those three things and then become a ranger. And I think it's not specified enough. So I really like it though. I really like ranger as an archetype. The bow is really fun to me. So
Oh yeah,
I would love to see more of it.
It's amazing fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
but like D&D 5e's ranger just doesn't really fulfill the
Yep.
fantasy.
Yep.
You
Too many of a lot of things and not enough of its own strength.
Yeah.
Anything you know.
I don't think that I have personally ever seen a ranger that wouldn't have been better, like more effective at dealing ranged damage if it had gone fighter
Yeah.
Or rogue.
or rogue. Yeah, which that has always been really frustrating to me.
I agree.
I do like the option for ranger to go the Drist route, where like you are the dual wielding martial ranger. I mean, I'm all for more character expression rather than less, but you could absolutely do ranger in a unique way. I mean, I've taken my own whack at it. I've seen several people that I think I've probably looked at more ranger revisions than I have like original unique ideas in the 5e scene,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, my idea for it was always like you give it Hunter's Mark, and the Hunter's Mark reduces its crit range.
Oh,
You make them crit more because like as I keep seeing hunters brought up in like Hades was I love Hades, the video game. And if you go the Artemis route, Artemis's boons are always having to deal with crit.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wait, I really like that idea. There's also a lot of MOBAs. I played Smite a lot, and in Smite, hunters specialize in crit. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's weird that that's not on Ranger. And the moment that I made Hunter's Mark change, it does crit reduction in a way that I saw Heavy Arms do on his Gunslinger. Whenever you have them reduce crit range that way, it suddenly feels like, ooh, now we have like a unique thing for a martialist that's gonna mark something and then they're critting against it more often. Like it feels like it just satisfied the vibe for me a lot more than favored foe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
That sounds like a really cool idea. I had not thought of that at all, and now I really want to run that.
Be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Changing the crit range in 5e is
Very strong.
dangerous.
Yeah,
It's
no,
very
like
dangerous.
I realize there's a reason you don't see it, and that's
Yeah.
because it's not balanced for it.
We
Before you
the
was
most
video
we've been
game math. Before you was video game,
farthest-
computer's doing the math for you. That's funny. I like that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say about the farthest we've ever been able to like push it before it really breaks the system is as low as 16.
Yeah.
Once you
Yeah.
hit like crit on a 16 or higher, and if you do it to where like you do that crit and then it resets, it's the damage spike is pretty okay. But like if you're just allowing, a flat 16 on all, no build up, no resource expense, it's kind of worrisome. But like,
Yeah.
woof, man, it feels so good.
Yeah, Pathfinder 1 did a lot of stuff with crit confirmation. So there were things that would lower or raise your crit confirmation. And the reason they did that is so that a 1-point dip wasn't as powerful. Which was really cumbersome and bogged down the game. But it did allow for things like helmets gave you a better chance of not being crit, which I thought was really cool because it just basically gave you disadvantage on the damage. So a crit would happen, you were going to get hit, and then they had a disadvantage roll to see whether or not it actually did double damage. And I'll still apply that to like magical helmets and something from time to time just to make the game more interesting. But it does slow the game down a lot, and I'm not a big fan of it. But you need that. You need that fine tuning because in Pathfinder you could go all the way down to 14. I think is the lowest I've ever seen a crit range. 14, 20, and it was bonkers. Like it was just like 25% chance to crit, maximum death all the time. Especially when you have things like scythes that do 4 times critical damage, or just like gunslingers that basically can't miss. So they're just like, let me see if I crit. Let me see if I crit. Let me see if I crit. Or shurikens where you're throwing 5 sneak attacks a turn. One of those is probably going to crit.
Oh yeah, so, like anything or any class or like dual wield build that where you could basically fish for crits got broken real fast. One of my favorites to play was to take dual wielding on a druid, so that I could cast Shillelagh on a quarterstaff. Double Shillelagh.
The the new UA, we were going through that, and did you guys see the warlock change with the was it packed weapon? And then no wait, maybe it was packed weapon.
Was talking about that.
Basically, so what happened with this was there's certain wording that because warlock is now a flexible caster, there's a way for you to add your modifier from your warlock class on top of the damage you deal with a cantrip. And so if you go over into druid and get Shillelagh, and then go over into warlock and get this now, Shillelagh adds your wisdom modifier to it already, and if you go intelligence or charisma warlock, you're now adding, a potential of you're adding 2 modifiers in on 1 damage instance. And it's we were joking around and calling it horny bonk warlock, because it's just you're doing like 1d8 plus like sometimes potentially 10 flat on top of it. It's ridiculous. But I don't think that's necessarily going to make it in, and I don't think it's a very optimal build, quote unquote, but it was just a funny interaction we saw.
Yeah. I think that rangers can have the potential for links in Breath of the Wild. Oh, potential for a link in Breath of the Wild, at least at the base. You can do it so that you lightly armored proficiency in both martial and ranged weapons instead of crit. That's interesting. Yeah, I do think you can have a really nice fighter build for ranger that should just be like, once again, that should be the starting point. I am specialized in my bow. I'm specialized in wearing armor. I am a ranged combatant, and then maybe they blend into some magic, or they blend into some animal husbandry. Or if you start as a druid, more nature spells, more druids, and then you kind of maybe blend into your weaponry. So I think there's a lot of different ways to start it, and it feels like it starts on the wrong side. Use insight for fighters and rangers to mix crit into regular classes. That could be cool. Using insight for fighting.
They're really going to have to hyper focus in on the exploration pillar for this next edition if they want to make ranger feel like. The problem right now is because I love survival heavy campaigns, but if I have a ranger at the table, there's literally no reason for me to make a survival heavy campaign.
Yeah.
It's just they're too strong. The campaign that they would be very good for can't exist because you can't challenge that ranger. It's their features are too. I just hand wave it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I think they're really good for NPC classes, because then it's do you have this guy with you? Yes. Then you don't need to make any rolls. He knows how to survive in this forest. He just does.
Right.
And that's not fun if you're a player. Just you're good. You're good. So that is tough. That is tough. I have a question about critting, and sorry about all these questions. I don't mind people who are knowledgeable about it. I don't find many people who are knowledgeable. But how does crit damage work for you guys? I usually go double. I double everything. I just think it's more fun. It's way more dangerous.
There you
go. I double everything, even Pathfinder
modifiers.
Even modifiers.
Yep.
It's just tell me what you did. Cool. Double damage. Done. It's a great way to one-shot your party. So, just a heads up.
I swapped the mechanics for vulnerability and crit. So vulnerability adds a die of damage, crit doubles the damage. It makes it to where I can play around and throw vulnerability on a lot more of my monsters. And I'm not super worried about, if they're like, oh, okay, well, this thing is weak to fire, let's just keep casting fire. It doesn't turn combats into we're gonna do one singular action just because we found out this vulnerability. I found that makes people experiment a bit more with damage types that they're using. It actually seems to buff up wizard and like anybody that values cantrip versatility quite a bit more. But it also just makes crits feel better to double the modifier. Like,
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like if there's a rogue that can get a backstab on somebody and one shot them, like that's the best feeling for everybody at the table. It's just like, oh, like everyone is in shock when you get that like stealth shank.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like expected. They're the assassin.
Yeah.
Do it.
I don't have any like specific set way that I do it. I will always ask my table like session 1, like, how do you guys want to do this? And usually my tables say, well, we want to double everything because that sounds fun, and that's fine. But I just have to remind them every time, like, just be careful, because whatever you do to my NPCs and monsters, they can do to you. So how much rocket tag do you want to play?
Yep, and that's a good way to do it. I think sometimes you can even do that per game. Because like if the party is not feeling powerful and they're hurt, it's just like I'll usually do the first time it's a crit. It's like, okay, are we doing double damage or double dice? Like, what do you want to do? And that can make a difference for some people. They're just like, let's do double dice. It's like, cool, we're gonna play it safe. I think that's a lot better. Pathfinder is now switched with 2nd edition to the plus 10 system. So anything over 10 is a crit. Anything under 10 is. Oh, sorry, I need to clarify. Over the
I was like, wait,
DC
what?
you're trying to hit. So if you're trying to hit their armor class, if you roll 10 over their armor class, that's a crit. And that's felt really good, because then it lets you feel if you are really powerful or you're under leveled. It's just like, man, you're gonna get destroyed. But the damage curve is way higher. So I really like it.
I really like it. I really like the implications for like facing monsters that are way above your level, and I like the implications for facing monsters that are really under your level.
Let me continue the chat here. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish up.
No, I'm basically done. I'm a big fan of that mechanic. I think it's way more satisfying to be able to roll high and like crit because your stats are amazing than to just have to fish for a natural 20.
Kobold, what would have meltdown over that combination? Oh, I might have missed something. They turned warlocks into half-casters, and now they only have access to level 5 spells and lose literally 16 different spells. The ability is to gain all the spells back for short rest. Interesting. Yeah, okay. They've already had several meltdowns. D2 style ranger. That might have been a 2E style ranger. I really liked I think the one time I did play 2A, I played a ranger. So. I'm a big, like, if I can play a bow character in a game, I will. I tried with Elden Ring. It was hot garbage. I still did it. It's so much fun.
I'm waiting for that FromSoft game where archery feels good.
Yeah, exactly. They have that mentality of just like, oh, archery is just there to cheese, and it's like, no, like make it, like spend the time on it then. Like make it functional.
Like I will play FromSoft games until the day I die, but like, man, it's really telling that I prefer archery and Skyrim over Dark Souls,
It doesn't make sense, because like this is my rant for the day. All of the ranged spells in Elden Ring track. So like, they're super fast. They're highly, you can do like 1,000 of them, because you're just like bloop 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 bloop. You have mana. They all track and they do great damage and they scale. And then you give somebody a bow, and like the arrows are so slow that everything just walks away from them. It's like, that's not how this should work. Plus, the arrows are really expensive. They do no damage. And like, if you craft them yourself, it's a pain in the ass, because you have to go farm birds.
Hunt the ingredients down,
It's just like, why are you doing this? Why did you purposely make this horrible? And they're like, well, we didn't want people to cheese the game. It's like, the mages do it. It's just make it the same as the mages. Why is it like this? So I don't understand that. That's my thing.
I feel like if you just improved the arrow speed for the travel time,
super fast, just
just make it quicker. Like I'm not asking for tracking, just like faster.
Yep, just faster would be just enough.
This is very interesting to me, because like I feel like this is specifically an issue with them overcomplicating game mechanics. I don't see why there needs to be a specifically different game mechanic for ranged spells and other ranged weapons.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Except, like, the only thing I can think of is in the old games, there were times when you'd be here, there'd be a dragon over here on a cliff, and someone would just stand here and like lob arrows at it for an hour until the dragon dies, because the AI wasn't smart enough to be like, why am I dying? It would just sit there until it dies. So it's like the AI in this game is smart enough to deal with that. So why did they prevent people from poking with bows? Because I don't want to poke. Like, that's not what I want. I want to be in combat slinging arrows at people, and they made it just impossible to do that. So
Yeah.
all right, let me catch up real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Morb is asking, may I have a fishman piranha with padded armor and a bite? I will put it on the list for sure.
Is that a request to draw the doctor from Street Sharks?
Is there a piranha doctor in Street Sharks?
Isn't he the main villain?
I don't remember Street Sharks. I'm sorry.
What a super specific reference.
Yeah.
I thought we both watched generic Saturday morning cartoons.
We totally did. That was 25 years ago.
Yeah, fair. Yep, fair.
Let's see. Hold on a second. Figured I would respond only for the simple fact that I got called the kobold here a lot, which I don't mind. Don't take us being defensive about being I'm not. Okay, yeah, go through your fine. Terrible and evil combo. A beholder with a rust bugs. Yeah, that could be mean. Just make everything non-magical and then eat it. That could be funny. I don't know if a non-magical item, while it's depowered, is technically non-magical, but I guess it does lose its damage. Its damage
It's just
reduction.
not able to do the things that are magical effects.
Yeah. Because like magical items are easier to break if they're not magical, because magical items have double hardness. That's interesting. That's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, does a beholder's gaze make magical items vulnerable? That is a...
I would say they
That's
do.
a question.
I absolutely would say that, but that would infer that they are then non-magical for the time that they're in that beam. I like that. That's an interesting thought. Warrior. Oh, for the fishman? Okay, I'll put that on there. I don't think archery could really be fun moment to moment. And then I played Horizon. Yeah, I haven't played Horizon yet. I probably should though. Homebrewed. My friends and I homebrewed an item for my multi-class character. We had a special bow that harnessed spells and adds it to the bow's damage and mixes it with arcane shots. Yeah, I've done that too. I think I have a YouTube video out there about that. I made it a quiver. So basically, you could put a magical arrow in the quiver and it would multiply that arrow, which is, I think that's a spell. But I had it to where you could have it so many different arrows in it per day. And I think that was really interesting. So you could put like 5 different types of arrows in there and then just you can pull a total of 5 arrows out of the quiver in a day. And so you can multiply whichever arrow you want. I thought was really cool. From Software, obviously reincarnated French knights with a major hate boner for the Welsh characters. Maybe. What's Street Sharks? Well, Morbid, let me tell you a tale.
Oh, God.
Street Sharks was the Ninja Turtles, but giant shark monsters. That's about it.
Yeah. They had
Dr.
some of the
Fairfield.
coolest toys, though.
They did, yeah. They were really
Yep.
cool. They had like
Yep.
rubber skin on top of
Yeah.
the action figure, so it like actually looked like a shark. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll some dice. Let's keep reading here. Is it wrong for me to look at the samurai and say it's not that good? I need a second opinion.
Oh, Fighter Samurai? Or Samurai from Elden Ring?
Or the one I drew.
Oh.
Both is fine. I'm gonna move on though because I'm not a big happy fan of that half orc. But no, samurai as a class, I do think needs to be shifted a little bit because they tried to make it more like the Cavalier, where it's all about your mount. It's like, why? No, make it like the Lone Samurai is awesome. Make it a Western themed thing.
Oh, the fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is me. Hey, what's up, the HV?
It's Brown.
Well, I'll just let you know. I think Samurai Fighter is probably the strongest fighter in the entire game.
Really? Well, maybe I
Yeah,
need to relook at it then.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say
oh.
it in 5th edition it has nothing to do with mounts.
Oh, okay. Well then, Pathfinder is for one time in the wrong.
Yep,
Because
because in Pathfinder they are just cavaliers, just skinned
The-
differently.
Samurai in 5e is a total anime swordsman. I mean, yeah, the advantage. Yeah, you can forego advantage to make an additional attack during the turn. It's it also kind of part of the issue is so the way that fighters are built, well, really the way that martials are built is that there's an expectation in 5e that you will have magic items, and they are intrinsically designed around that.
That's
so it's like, it's kind of unfortunate that, you know, they felt like they had to worry about, well, here's what the marshals are going to do with rare magic items, so we can't give them certain features right here, right? But
that's an interesting way to look at it, yeah, because like there's a scaling for when you're supposed to have magical items and what power level it should be. So like you kind of do have to take that into account when you're looking at how the characters are built.
Well, you are expected in 5e to be a fantasy superhero. Yeah, you know, it's not like this is why 5e is just not suited for low level magic games.
Yeah,
it's not like. It's more than just like, oh, well, we're just gonna restrict and cut back on casters or anything. It's like, no, you are expected as a fighter to be like, you should have an arsenal of magic stuff, you know? Like, you should be Thor, is what you should be. So, you know, other games that are better at like the lower magic system, I don't know if you guys have seen Dragon Bane, but like, whoo.
Someone was asking about Valor earlier. I don't know if I've
never heard of that one.
Morbid, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty well today. Let's not talk about power level. Oliver, were you the one with the super overpowered character? Is that why we're avoiding this? I do have also to mention that you guys are awesome. Like I said, I love talking about D&D and talking about stuff. Yeah, no problem, Solo. You guys see what happens to Warlock? Yeah, we were just talking about that a little while ago. Sounds like they're doing... I think it might be a good thing, but we'll see what happens.
A lot of what they're doing is necessary, for sure, but...
I rolled the dice again, and I am drawing a Goblin Bard, who is the king of everything, apparently. So he's just going to be covered in gold and stuff.
The king of everything or the king in yellow?
Well, did I misread it?
No, I've just been thinking about... What is it, Aster recently?
Aster, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first main villain for the first big D&D campaign I ever played. Doc Tack went blind because he read a book about Aster that he wasn't supposed to read.
Speaking of Lovecraft, have you guys what do you guys think about that announcement from Critical Role about their new Call of Cthulhu like TTRPG?
Oh gosh, I haven't, like, it's on my queue paused right now waiting for me to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Spoilers. No, it looks really good. I think it's gonna be fun. Like Taliesin having the opportunity to just write whatever the hell he wants is gonna be great.
I mean, 100% yes. That's what I've wanted from Critical Role for like 4 or 5 years now. I loved the Call of Cthulhu game that he ran in the Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Ooh,
well, so
that tickled me.
This like Candle Obscura is so it's written by, if I'm remembering this right, it's written by the guy that wrote Alice is Missing. Like the system that they're playing is a totally boutique, like in-house thing, right?
Right.
And I'm like, you know, yeah, we all knew the Critical Role was eventually going to get into TTRPGs, but now they've got 3 that they're working on. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, and you're demoing one right now? I mean, you know, because they've got Banana Chan is working on one. They've got Spencer Stark. Like, I mean, they are hitting the ground running. I mean, I thought maybe if they were going to drop one TTRPG, it was like, yeah, that's expected, but like...
I'm really interested in the short-term one. They're I think it's going to be the first one they're putting out for like short campaigns. I believe so, because I think if I ever want to DM, I think I would want to like maybe pick that up and learn it to do like short things instead of like trying to do a long campaign.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the one by Banana Chan who wrote Betrayal on the House at Haunted Hill.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I knew I'd heard that somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if one shots are necessarily the way of the future, but like the biggest issue I hear from people is just trying to keep their D&D game going. So anything that can give people the ability to just like jump in and out of games is going to be helpful. And I think Critical Role knows that. So
yeah, I think so as well. And I'm also kind of excited for more like games designed for short form. My current go-to is, I think I've probably mentioned this 1,000 times on your channel, Rook, but my current go-to is Monster of the Week, which I love, but it's not appropriate for every setting.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. What are we drawing currently? We are drawing the Goblin Bard King. So yeah. I don't know what Druid is drawing. I don't remember.
It is a Starfinder Elder theme witch warp.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and I think that I've got about as much of it as I possibly can. My brain is dying, and before I go completely insane trying to understand this Eldritch horror the way Lovecraftian thinks I should, I think I'm gonna finish up and move on.
Sounds good. Oliver is the OP Warlock. That's totally fine. I mean, in the rules of Dungeons and Dragons, if a magical item gets hit with an anti-magic field, it becomes a normal object. Okay, yeah, that would make sense then. Goblin King is the Gobbo-Grip. Yep, there you go. The +1 armor and sword now become regular equipment, and they get infected by the Rustbug's ability, and the stuff never goes away, and it eventually breaks if it gets hit. That makes sense. I do think that there's, like, the way magical items are supposed to work is, especially with anti-magic fields, they do retain their magic, so they're not permanently dispelled.
Yeah, it suspends it.
Yeah, so I think it would retain the damage that it's taken from the initial infection of it, but I do think once it becomes magical again, the infection would stop. It's still damaged though. You need to repair it. That's totally fine. Mm-hmm. Valor is great because it's basically anime D&D. You guys should look it up. You have 2 ingrained weaknesses and strengths that you choose, even entirely on the flavor of the book thread at the end. Neat. Okay, cool. I think that's something that would be great to have a session for RP events. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
What does a 23 get me to draw?
An Otterfolk merchant wearing jewelry and fine clothes. I think we've rolled 23 like 3 times. That's really weird. I'm gonna have to go back and check that.
Lots of otters.
The Otterfolk is great. I went to that family event this week for my grandma's birthday, and I brought a bunch of like just artwork and stickers because my family likes me, and the Otterfolk was a favorite again.
So jealous.
People love that Otterfolk.
I don't know why, but my YouTube recommendations have been on a cycle of nothing but like animal like videos and stuff. Like not like cat videos, but like have you guys, what is it? Have you seen Hood Nature, where it's the guy that's just like commenting over? Okay, so I think I watched like a couple of his shorts, and boy, that drawing is looking a little bit suspect right now.
Yep. All otters start out by drawing a penis.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. But like my YouTube recommendations rolled up like an otter video the other day, and I was like, I had no idea they were that feral, and like apparently otters are super dangerous. And
yeah.
I'm trying to remember if it was it South America where like they're known to just like drag people into the river and drown them and stuff. I was like, what? Like,
yeah.
Otters
they're
and dolphins
brutal.
are like 2 mammals that are purposefully cruel. Like they like to torture and destroy things for apparently no reason. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
But they're super cute.
Yeah, they are super cute. River otters do eat alligators though.
Yeah.
You got to be careful of otters.
And the giant river otters will like bully jaguars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are just water wolverines.
That's fair.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Awesome.
Though it's kind of funny that you brought up otters because we fought a freaky otter one day on Saturday in our Pathfinder group.
Yeah.
Oh.
What is that thing?
It's called.
I'm the GM of that.
This is your fault.
This was my fault. I was having a lot of fun with the bestiary. Think that in the voice channel chat is the.
I keep getting steak videos and I get hungry. It's getting out of hand. Damn, nature, you scary. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it was a very large otter that has a monkey hand for a tail.
Oh, and it could scream like a person. That was the other part.
Yes.
It copies people's voices, and it's Fae related, and they eat people's they don't eat a whole corpse. They prey on people and eat the eyes and the teeth and the fingernails. And I twisted a little bit and added testicles as well, just to freak people out.
Are you trying to wind up on RPG horror stories or what?
I mean, I would be honored if that happened. I should have ended up on RPG horror stories a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm never gonna put you on there.
No GM's perfect. No, but like when they fought this, they were at a level to handle it. So they fought that, and it had a will-o-wisp.
Which we completely ignored. That is not a problem right now. We're dealing with the horror otter.
It basically couldn't keep up with them. So like the pairing was the Ahuizotl kills people, the will-o-wisp feasts on the terror of the moment of death. And so they worked together to lure people to their deaths in the docks of my town.
Yep.
This is like such an underrated monster. I love will-o-wisps, but it's like you just never really hear a whole lot of like fun tactics about them or anything like that. It's like, oh, they're shocky balls of souls, I guess.
I feel like they're so ingrained in our society as a like people know what they are. They're too ubiquitous, and so anytime you're like, oh, you see the glowing mist in the darkness, it's like I completely ignore it. Like I just nope.
I run towards it.
Yeah, exactly.
I had an idea for an encounter. You guys never ended up doing it, so I had the NPC group in the guild take care of it. But the quest was I don't know if you guys even remember. It was one of the first ones that I posted. It was a unofficial quest where somebody was looking to have a party go and hunt rare mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
Like rare growing mushrooms in a forest. So the quest was you guys were gonna go and try to pick up a certain number of glowing mushrooms, and there were going to be will-o-wisps interspersed in the mushrooms, pulling people towards assassin vines.
Nice. I like it. Solo asks, could you describe the difference between Pathfinder and D&D? I've never heard of it before today. So, long story short, Pathfinder is essentially a remaking of 3.5. A lot of the guys that worked on the project when 4th edition came out and kind of bombed, broke apart, made their own, made the OGL essentially what it is, and then took the open source 3.5 and created their own system. So Pathfinder is essentially older D&D but updated. So the armor system is revamped a little bit. It has a lot more math. They tried to get a lot more fine-tuning with things, so things feel a lot more
modular.
Yeah, a lot more modular.
Yeah.
You can really like just jump into things and fiddle with numbers until it feels right, which is great. They also made it so you can make a whole bunch of different races and classes very easily. And then it got a little too complicated. Now they made 2nd edition where they're actually dumbing it back a little bit, but changing the system. It's more feat-based than really honing in on one class. So lots of really fun stuff. So many feat trees and stuff that let you really make whatever you want, which I really love.
I try to say it's like in D&D it's like a path, and in Pathfinder it's like a tree with a bunch of different branches.
Yeah.
It's you can go down these. There's definitely what I would say is probably more option to Pathfinder. But if people are looking for what I would say is probably a bit easier to just jump in and get going, it's probably 5e, but like
Like,
there's also TTRPGs that do it better than 5e. I think once you've had a handle of like how to play a TTRPG and you're like, I want to make whatever character I want to, I think Pathfinder's a better system for that.
Same.
Agreed.
Generally, what I'll do if someone wants to start playing something, I'll have them play 5e because it's really easy to just make a character and jump in, and it gives you enough information about like critting and rolling and armor classes and stuff like that. And then after a few sessions of that, they're usually like, "Oh, it'd be really cool if I could do this." I'm like, "We can do that in Pathfinder. We can absolutely do that." And so I'll usually then transition them to Pathfinder. But 5e is great for an introductory to like complicated RPGs versus like Monster of the Week is on that lower end of like you only ever use D6s, I think, right?
Correct. 2d6s is all you need to play.
Yeah. And so those are a little different, but really good at RP if people just want to learn RP. But mechanic-wise, 5e is really good. It's a solid way to learn, like, roll D20 mechanics.
I definitely recommend, like, Powered by the Apocalypse systems like Monster of the Week are like great for people that also have a handling on TTRPGs.
Yeah.
But they're wanting to embrace more like, okay, less combat, more story, you know?
Yeah, it very much is more story focused. And it's it's very much less railroady. Like it's designed for you to be able to say, this is what I want to do. And then like collectively the table makes up how to do it. Whereas like Pathfinder and D&D have a lot more prescribed, like this is something that we've planned out for you to use to get what you want.
Something that I don't know if this might be an Apocalypse thing, but it might be a McElroy thing. I've really wanted to do like, I've tried to do this a few times and it's never worked, but I've tried to get like whenever you're doing a heist or something that's very complicated in the storyline execution of it, I've tried to give people like, you can twice this session decide to go back in time and prepare something. I will let you do that.
That's the flashback system from Blades in the Dark.
Perfect. Okay, I knew because the McElroys used something like it, and I wasn't sure where they got it from. But like, I love that concept. I think that's so fun, and it feels very heist movie-esque. Of just like, all right, let's flash back real quick.
Yeah.
I've tried it a few times, and my players have never taken the opportunity to do it. But like, I want to make that work so bad. I think that would be so much fun. So.
Yeah, you run a heist. I'll play in it, and I'll do it.
Blades in the Dark is like the system that basically developed that, if I'm recalling this correctly. Someone in chat can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But like the thing that I love about Blades in the Dark was it didn't that if you're aware of playing TTRPGs and like kind of if I say like what is a scene, and we're talking about like kind of loose abstract concepts like that, a scene is like, whenever you're playing D&D and then suddenly the DM is like, all right, so now we're going to this area right here, and we feel that subconscious shift. That subconscious shift, like Blades in the Dark tries to like codify that as a moment. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And like, so you're aware that like once during this scene, you can do this thing right here.
That's a cool way to talk about it. Yeah, that might be a more interesting way to break that up.
That's how Lancer does it, as well as all White Wolf games. Basically, all the Vampire Masquerade and all that stuff is broken up in scenes.
Cool.
And Vagabond that you guys can go check out on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah, go check out Kickstarter. We should probably post that link again. I don't know. People are hanging out. I'll copy this link again. We'll post it.
It's just such a great idea. I mean, it really is such a like solid concept of like, once you played a TTRPG, you just know, like you understand, oh, that's what a scene is. It's that conscious shift of us going, all right, so are we done now? Let's go on to the next thing. It's perfect.
It really does feel to me like that understanding comes from people realizing that playing a TTRPG basically is improv.
Mm-hmm.
Like it very much fits in with that acting sort of mentality.
There's also scene episodes, and that's interesting. Maybe that's what I need to do. I think a big part of it is when you say like you can do this once per this session. people are scared to use that one thing. But like, if they know it's like it's just for this little bit within this time period, you guys can use this. That might be a better way to break it down. I'm rolling a D20 and a D6 now. I rolled 15. Oh, I don't know what this word is. Abashagu? AAB apostrophe SHAGUA.
Is it from Starfinder?
It says Abagashu Wizard Merchant.
To Google.
It says just lean into the Abashagu lore. I don't know what that means. So here we go.
Spell it for me one more time.
AAB apostrophe SHAGUA.
Abshagua. Let's see. Reddit. Are Abshagua real? r/Forgotten Realms.
Abshagwa?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Google Images is definitely a bunch of sexy purple Cyclops chicks. So.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Is it a homebrew player race? Game Rand.
Made its first
I don't see what looks like official art.
Created by someone. Concerns about my 5e party. This one might break the rules. I'm not sure. Native to the ethereal plane.
Yeah, Abshagua is a it's a homebrew.
Whatever, we'll do it. I'm just gonna change it to Cyclops, right? That's a thing I can draw.
Just use a purple pen.
Purple. Let's do it.
Where do these things originate from?
It says the ethereal plane. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to.
4chan.
Yeah, probably.
Is this a 4chan thing?
Maybe.
It's enough of a weird word as like, is this from like some folklore that someone's just kind of brought over and made it sexy?
Rule 34.
Yeah.
Hand wash Big Pan over on D&D Beyond, and then people just really liked the. And you can't see any of their It's baffling to me that D&D Beyond has been out for like, what is it, 6 or 7 years now, and like if I go to someone's profile and try to look at their posts, it doesn't list their posts.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this?
It's super broken.
This site. Oh yeah, this is definitely worth what was it? $125 million.
So I don't know if people know about this. You used to be able to play Magic the Gathering online any way you wanted. Like, they had all the setups for it. It was basically just a table where you could sit down, play your cards. There was a huge online forum for actually spending real money to trade digital cards. And it was great. It was just called Magic the Gathering Online. And it was awesome.
I guess it got shut down.
No, it sucked. They kept not updating it over and over and over again. And then WotC just decided, fuck it, we're going to make Arena. like way before Arena existed, you could play Magic the Gathering online. But it was janky. It was janky because it felt like someone built it in a web browser.
Probably was.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was bad, but it worked. It worked, and that's fine. Like, it was just really, really janky.
I've played Arena once.
Yeah, Arena's okay. But like, they just instead of trying to update something that was functional and worked and people were paying real money for, they just decided to just abandon it and make Arena happen. So like, WotC's not great at making websites, maintaining websites, or understanding what the hell they're doing. Like, this is known. This is just a thing that I've come to live with.
Paizo's not much better. I'm going to say this.
Oh yeah, like no, Paizo also doesn't know how websites work.
It's like
There's a bunch of book nerds that decided to start a company.
Because only way I can log into my account for Paizo is going on Microsoft Edge. I was like, I don't want to do that because it's Microsoft Edge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can definitely see why it's got a lot of love over on D&D Beyond. There's a lot of lore, lot of super dense lore over there.
Nice. That is what people love. People love their lore.
Until they don't.
Yeah.
Stop changing things. Change is scary.
You know what you said last time.
Was the new list drafted for this week, or is it a continuation of last week? It's a new list, yeah. So every Monday we start a new list. Cosmic, if you haven't added anything this week, you can add something to it. I think but if
thing didn't get drawn, you can add it again.
Yeah. There's a few things that did get drawn that people suggested again, and I think they just missed their suggestions. I saw one of them was like, oh, never mind then. I think this is new or last new company. Entirely class feature stemmed from the conquering curses. There's the armament curse as a martial guy. Guys here. I haven't heard of that. Yeah. There used to be a spell eater class, which I really liked. There's a couple of homebrews for it.
I know there was a barbarian archetype in first edition Pathfinder. It was like a spell eater.
Yeah. I like that concept. Or like a witch hunter or kind of like a my thought of what either an exorcist or like a witcher would be.
Yeah, mage slayer.
Yeah, I love spell eating magic items as well, like spell thief magic items. You cast a spell at me, and I can use my saving throw to try to dodge it, or I can try to use my saving throw to catch it.
Yep.
And
that was always my hassle with Pathfinder for counter spells. Like you had to know the spell that was being cast at you, and it's just like, I just want to.
That's still.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
That's still a thing.
Woof.
It makes sense for
not as bad in second edition as it was in first.
Yeah, because like the wizard, that was supposed to be the power of the wizard. Is like someone's casting a spell. Do I know what spell it is? Roll knowledge arcana. Yes. Okay, I have that on my spell list. I'm gonna counter it. Slow the game down, but.
So you also had to have it on your spell list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to bring a counter spell, though. You just, like, if you knew the spell they were casting, you could cast it to cancel it.
Oh, so it was more like an interaction. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
There were a couple other ways to do it as well. You could use an action to hold dispel magic.
Yeah.
And you could use that, or if you could identify the spell and you had, if you had a spell that was like an opposite element of like the same level, then you could use that to try to counter. And then you made like an opposing roll or something.
There were also like bards had the ability to like counter song. So if something took verbal components, you could basically prevent people from casting with.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So there was making noise.
So there was a bunch of ways to like go about it. It wasn't just one mechanic, but all of them were clunky and really, really slowed down gameplay.
Yeah. Usually that blue magic playstyle for TTRPGs just isn't really it's just saying no. It's one of those things that you just try to avoid in design. It's like, you know, there's shutdown for sure, and shutdown can be interesting, but like you gotta be careful with it.
Yeah.
Team Game Whiplash, hello. Yeah, we got Taryn on today.
Game design is hard.
Hey.
Also, Jared, earlier you mentioned wands in second edition are not your favorite. I would argue staves for spontaneous casters is hot garbage.
We need to revamp. Yeah, that's the thing with second edition that I'm not happy with right now is their magic item setup. So, something definitely worth looking into.
If the spell isn't on your spell list, you have to do a trick magic item, which I'm okay with. But with spontaneous casters like sorcerers and a few other classes like bards, for you to use a staff, you basically just give up a spell. It's like, well, I'm going to give up a spell slot just to cast a spell, while wizards could, the day before, load up a staff with charges and cast any spell on it by expending a charge. Because for a spontaneous cast, you had to expend the charge and the spell slot. I was like, no, thank you. I'm just going to throw away my staff.
It's a little weird. Like, I can't tell if staffs are supposed to be giving you enhanced spell lists or enhanced spell slots. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I'm also not sure. I'm confused because it seems to me like staves basically they're using staves as mechanically to replace pearls of power.
Yeah. And so like that's kind of cool, but also you then lost what staves were, and like nothing replaced it. So it's kind of like,
yeah.
Wasn't element spells hitting each other other than cool mental idea? It reminds me of Naruto jutsus, reduce or stop each other. Yeah, I think so. Like anything elemental based, I think should definitely have that kind of thing. We have a whole bunch of stuff to read here, but Skip Cat is screaming at me for food, so I'm gonna go feed him. I'm gonna take a quick 2-minute break. I will be right back, everybody. Hang tight. You guys can keep talking if you want. I will just be right back.
Yeah.
Second edition Pathfinder does still have that sort of thing. I think it's I have only specifically expressly seen it in the rules about using like a water-based spell to counter magical fire. But it's pretty clear to me that it's in the rules somewhere, and I honestly haven't looked at it too deeply, mostly because we've been concerned with figuring out how to do other stuff. So
yeah. The Rune Lords have a weird counterspell thing where they can counteract it's either spells from their opposite schools or spells from their own school that they can counteract without needing to actually know the spell.
Oh, so there's like a whole network of like, you have like a whole web of countering spells and stuff? Or spell schools or something?
So with Rune Lords, they're basically people who they have to be basically wizards, so prepared arcane casters. And they basically devote themselves solely to one school to the point that they can't cast spells from certain other schools. So like, enchantment can't cast spells from the necromancy or
so you can commit yourself to like a certain study and all that stuff. I gotcha.
And because Rune Lords are like specifically to like Pathfinder like adventure paths, they were like evil wizards, and so like they devote themselves so each school of magic is like tied to one of the 7 deadly sins, except for divination, because no one cared about divination, so they didn't bother delving so deeply into it.
What a shame.
Because like they're like, every wizard's gonna know divination. Why devote yourself to it?
I'm making that's my next 5e class I have up on deck is so I'm making this class called the Zodiac, and I mean, part of its specialization is going to be how do we make divination super cool in 5e.
Awesome.
It's like a magical girl transformation divination. Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect.
See, I don't hate the divination wizard, partially because it has very little to do with divination. Where it's like, where you get portenses that you can like add or subtract from rolls throughout the day, and it's like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I love reflavoring divination wizard as a time wizard.
Yeah.
To where like portent is like you are like re-instancing time and pulling like that event from a different timeline.
Yeah.
Like that feels so it's so cool. But yeah, people like divination wizard for the most like non-divination thing. Because like I try to get really into the philosophy of what makes the class feel right. Like I had thought about doing like a luck-based class called the Fortune last year, and finally I was just like, 5e is not the system to support what the central thesis of luck really is, where like you know, luck is not I can override a rule. It's luck is you did a thing very well without any natural skill towards it.
Yeah, I think that very much leans into stat padding, right? Like adding numbers is a better way to do that, because you have like minimal luck, which is they used to have a luck bonus in Pathfinder of a +1, but that could go all the way up to a +4. Whereas in just having advantage on things doesn't feel right to me.
Right. Yeah, because it's more like you're manipulating luck rather than relying on it. Mm-hmm. There was a feat I wrote called Dumb Luck that was oh god, it got like a lot of attention over on Twitter. But again, it was like me trying to figure out like if you what is it, like you lower your intelligence stat, and whenever you make a roll that isn't that you don't have proficiency in, I need to find that one again. It was so funny.
Yeah, I think honestly the divination wizard always feels more like a bard to me. For 5e specifically, like I really think it should be more of a bard thing, where you're either fortune telling or you're kind of divining, you're giving people inspiration. Like that always feels more divination to me than like an actual time wizard. But those are kind of the way they split. I'm really behind on chat here, so I'm gonna jump in here real quick. What happened to you guys last Friday? I went on vacation. Essentially, my grandmother's 90th birthday was that weekend, so I had to go out of town. Nice. Sorry we missed that. We'll be back this Friday. So, what do you guys think about having a curse that's supposed to affect you, but actually becomes the source of your power? For example, a curse of animation. Your skeleton is animated while you're alive. That sounds painful, and I don't know if that would help you in any way. I think that would be bad. But that's essentially what the warlock class is a curse that helps you. So.
That there's a homebrew class that's like a platinum bestseller by Ross Leiser called The Accursed. That it is that exactly. And it's, you know, the idea is you are embracing this curse that you had, and it is like your source of power. And Ross thinks of curse magic as like anti-magic. It's a very cool idea.
Interesting.
There's also the Oracle for Pathfinder, which was essentially it's supposed to be a divine casting sorcerer, is essentially the way it's built. So you're like a cleric sorcerer, but what they do is they give you a curse, and then that curse gives you power and also detriment. So like one of them was you start the game like basically mostly blind, so you have a reduced sight range, but then once you get to like level 12, level 15, you have blind sense. And so it starts off as a weakness and slowly grows into something that gives you eventually true sight at level 20. And it has that's like all of your mysteries are based around that. So you can cast darkness and you can cast different things like that. So I kind of like that concept.
Yeah, I use that concept to make an NPC once who was like a legit oracle that my players could go to for information, because like while the curse made them blind, they basically, because I as the GM was playing them, I also gave them in exchange for their blindness, plot armor, but also plot sight.
Okay. That's fun. Okay. The thing about it is that my skeleton will buff AC, use reactions to grow more bonuses, attacks, etc. You pass on death saves, as the skeleton will move more when you're unconscious. Yeah, there's a spell called Bone Shaker that essentially you make somebody's bones move under your control. It does damage every time that happens. So I don't know. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's evil and horrible. That's a 2nd edition spell. My brother recently found a 1st edition Pathfinder spell that's called what is it? I sent it to you, Corvus. I think
you've talked about this before. I'm trying to remember.
Hang on.
It's a head explosion, basically. It's a slightly lower level finger of death.
Head explosion.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned that there's a like 20th level psychic feat in 2nd edition that you can explode enemies' heads.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, there's simply not enough spells that are just like wear it on your sleeve, like sticks to snakes. Like, what does it do? It turns a stick into a snake. Like, we need more of that. Just like, oh, okay, I guess I should have expected that. Yeah.
100%.
so you're Moses.
I'm a big fan of the McElroys did this for a while, and I've seen a few other homebrews of it. But like, just change one letter, like whatever the spell is, you can change
Ring of
one
the
letter.
Grammarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much because you can find so many silly things. Like my favorite was the one I did was the Book of Ireball.
Yeah.
So it looked like a fireball spell, but if anybody tried to use the scroll or the book, it just blows up, and then anybody that hits by it just is really pissed off at you. Like I love that. It's completely stupid and silly, but like
I have like I have like a pro DM move that I made around like the Ring of the Grammarian years ago, where somebody was trying to cast Hold Person as Gold Person with the Ring of the Grammarian.
That's good.
And they were trying to like petrify this Kuatoa and just take it back and sell this gold statue, right? And I was like, all right, yeah, you cast it, and you know this happens. I just kind of sat back for a second, and I was like, after they had gotten done talking and everything, he was like, all right, I go back and I grab the statue, and I was like, you see the corpse kind of flop down like it's normal flesh and tissue, and he was like, wait, what? And I was like, Hold Person lasts for 1 minute, man.
I was gonna say it's not permanent.
Yeah. And he was like, oh man.
It's not petrification.
Yeah, it's so
great.
funny.
It's such a good spell. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. In my opinion, arcane tricksters should steal their spells rather than learn them. Something like fighters, rangers, and paladins should get anti-magic subclass. I would love an anti-magic subclass. I think
totally.
I would really like that. Once again, Witch Hunter, would be really cool.
I'm desperate for and haven't really seen one that I like. A mage hunter, some sort of class.
Yep. I think Yasha's sword was like the closest.
Yeah, I think that's the closest we got.
Because like what the tricky part with that is always like what features are you expecting out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
in
5e the closest we usually see is like they have disadvantage on concentration saves, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever, I guess. Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
like,
not gonna hurt the druid.
Yeah. I had one friend, we tried to build out the spell stealer, but we didn't really like the class for what it was. We pilled around with it a little bit, and what we came up with was if he is hit by a spell and he foregoes the saving for it, like he just takes it, he takes the damage and then stores the spell, so then he can use one of his spell slots to cast it again. And that was kind of fun, but it really wasn't magic, anti-magic. It was just like that was one way to deal with it. But things like I like the way the shield spell works in D&D, and I like the way the counter spell works, and making those items has been kind of fun. Very powerful, but like kind of fun. And so it would be interesting to see classes like that where you just forego I guess like more of an abjuration wizard is kind of what I would want, where you forego offensive spells to have things like shield or things like counter spell or things that would give you just negation of certain types of spells either at range or at other people. And I think there's a lot of things you could play with, but it's not really built into the game right now, and I think that's why they haven't done it. So yeah,
I want to play an anime character now that's anti-magic.
Yep. Definitely worth fiddling with. Tin Can says, do a funny right now. Rook's distracted post mimics. Shameful.
Heretics.
Heretics. Yeah. What does do a funny mean? Is that something I missed?
There once was a man from Nantucket.
I assume that's when I went to feed the cats. Let's see where it was. 5e doesn't have a spell clash system, though it could be cool to substitute one for counter spells. That could be interesting, yeah. That could be a fun area.
The problem becomes that it's like so hyper specific that like, I mean, in situations where you're not fighting a mage, you feel like, oh well, your core class power budget is just not really doing anything.
That's
for
true.
you.
Yeah. If you had all those abjuration spells, but they were all based around magic, like an anti-magic zone would be completely useless against bandits. So that would be a bummer. I could see that.
Yeah, and then you just end up with the same problem we all probably have. I'm making a wide assumption here with the old ranger, where it's too specific, and situational in its application.
Eldritch Blast versus Magic Missile Tug of War sounds cool. A Magic Missile that is Magic Missile good? I think Magic Missile's great. Yeah, it's really good, especially at higher levels.
Yeah.
Like it gets really silly.
Reliable force damage is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
feels like it's just match spell
misses.
level.
I
think it does.
There isn't anything that is resistant to force damage, is there?
Just the shield spell.
Well, Helmed Horror. Helmed Horror is the only thing that's resistant to it. And I think it's immune, but I can't remember if it's resistant or immune. Hang on.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, and we don't know why they picked that. Like, why is that the one stat block that has force damage resistance?
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, doesn't like Wall of Force also block Magic Missile?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
everything
pretty high level.
Yeah. I had a friend play a Pathfinder wizard who only had, what did he have? He had Wall of Force, Levitation, and Black Tentacle. Those are his only spells. He might have had Grease too, but he was just like my whole plan is to just not be near people. That's it. It was really funny. It was a really funny character.
The antisocial wizard.
Antisocial wizard. That's a good to it. Cast spells, make later point time, make divination the butterfly effect. That could be fun. Yeah. I never use it, Magic Missile or Eldritch Blast. Oh, Solo, you're missing out.
Lower against like lower level mooks, like Magic Missile is horde clear.
Yeah, it's great.
Dumb Luck is very funny AF. Tin Can says. The Curse is so cool. Yeah.
There's a archetype in 2nd edition that's a gunslinger archetype. That basically is you're so bad with guns, you're actually good with guns.
You just like drop them down the stairs and take out everybody.
Yeah. Essentially.
Right,
like misfires actually turn into crits.
Okay.
No, I mean not literally, but kind of like
Bugbear Barbarian is what I've rolled. Big and scary. Add a war pick. No armor is safe around him. Alright.
Oh, so jump ropes characters.
Yeah.
Ice Thunder.
Man, Jump Rope used to get the Lucerne hammer for every single character she played. It was bonkers.
Yeah, our Fae character campaign, our first edition Pathfinder one. I know he didn't like super optimize her character 7, who was a Cavalier, by the way, for anybody who is not at all familiar. But like, I went into that GMing that not expecting to be most afraid of Jump Rope's character, and ending up being absolutely most afraid of Jump Rope's character.
She does it real well. She knows how to build a terrifying paladin-esque character.
Was that for you say Pathfinder?
Yeah, for first edition Pathfinder.
Hammer is a war pick with reach that can sunder. So just every turn I smash them and they die. I break everything they have and I smash them. It's like, all right, it works.
How is the champion in Pathfinder?
Oh, I love it.
I love it. It's
really?
I have never really enjoyed paladins. I really, really enjoy the champion.
It feels a little almost like a warlock.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird mix between a warlock and a paladin, and I really like it. It fits the system really well because of the 3 action system. Yeah, it's a really, really, really smooth. I built one thinking I could be kind of supporty. I'm like, I'll have a little bit of healing, and I'll have a little bit of this. It's like, no, I'm just a tank. You're the tank now. And it's like, oh god. But
what's their like key tanking feature over there?
For him, it's just shield block. Like having
Free
the ability,
shield.
You get the shield block, and then I took some features because I took like the shield champion stuff for it specifically, so I can block 4 other people, which is really cool. And then once per turn, using my reaction, if someone takes damage, I can just negate some of it. It's just like, nope, they don't take that much damage.
Gotcha.
Which is really, really powerful. Especially considering, like, I don't even think I think I have attacks of opportunity, but it's just way more efficient to just reduce everybody's damage around me, which has been really fun.
Yeah. So, like, in case you don't know, and for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, in second edition Pathfinder, everybody does not get an attack of opportunity. That's something that you actually have to choose to spec into with the feat. I think fighters get that option at level 1, but everybody else has to spec into it later.
Yep. And only certain classes get it.
Yeah. Generally speaking, only martial classes get it. And we were, like, really confused by that at first, but, like, I wasn't sure that I liked it at first, but I really like it now.
Yeah.
I am very worried they're about to do that to 1D&D.
Yeah, I thought initially the first like day we played, I was just like, this is stupid. I hate this. But then as we kept playing, what they did to counter it is the reactions. Everybody has like 2 or 3 things they can do with reactions. One of which is shield block, right? But so it makes tanking feel better because you are actively negating damage. You're not just like, I'm tough, I'm standing here. It's like, no, I'm going to use my reactions, my points to sustain things, and just protect the party as much as I can. And so it makes the reactions feel a lot better when you're not always just like, well, I have to save it for an attack of opportunity. I have to save it for an attack of opportunity. It's just like, well, use other options. It's really good.
Which is like fairly rare in 5e because, like, honestly, the system is basically just throw body at body until one of the bodies dies.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also would be worried about 1D&D because I don't know enough about the system. I don't know if it could handle not giving everybody attacks of opportunity. It certainly would not work for 5e, but I think it works really well for Pathfinder for all the reasons Rook said.
They're moving a lot of features specifically away from off of your turn style things. I think most notably was Rogue can only sneak attack on their turn now. And it kind of feels, well, because I mean, a lot of the design team that's at Wizards of the Coast came from Paizo.
Right.
So, like, you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. That's it would just.
If I had made that career move, I'd be kicking myself right now. But
yeah, for sure. There's just, the more I think about it, the more it's. Honestly, the worry for me is just me having to change homebrew to suit the system, or like really,
Yeah. That's a fair concern, for sure.
But I guess I get to sell the updates, so yay!
That is true.
Silver lining, I guess.
Yeah, I get. I don't know. I just don't like charging people twice for.
Yeah, no, it feels super scummy, right?
Yeah.
I like the addendums. We've had a few problems in the past where we started yelling like, that doesn't make sense, this shouldn't be like this, and then we'll look it up. It's like, oh yeah, that's in the addendums that they posted.
Oh god, yeah.
So, like, everyone else is mad about that too, so that's fine.
It's the rough thing about printing, you know? It's like, if it's for a game and then you're like, oh, okay, well, there's a thing that we added later on that wound up breaking this thing that we made 4 years ago, then, yeah, it's rough.
I think I made this mouth or the face too small here. Hold on. Put it down here. Let me see. I always thought that Cloud Giant's abilities to read butterfly effect was tight as fuck. That could be funny, yeah. I returned. Apologies, no problem. Storm Giants. Didn't know y'all got this list from the shorts posted. Yeah, it was. I just started doing that as a way to engage people, because what I noticed is the community post. Basically, people don't find the community posts.
Yeah, YouTube does not push it well.
Right. So
they stopped doing it through your homepage is the problem. They're only doing it through your subscriptions now.
So, no offense to the people that have been around, because I love you and I appreciate you. There were the same about 12 people always seeing the posts and suggesting it. And I was like, I need more people to find these. So the shorts, I think, was the way to do that. And so far, it's working out. Yeah. So this week, I collected them from the short video. And what I'll do is I'll probably, at the end of this week, I'll unlist that video. And then next week, I might put up a new one. I might do it every other week because we do have like 30. And I'm not going to get through all those this week. So
yeah,
I'll just do that probably once a month. I'll do the short video to try to call as a call to action. But it's been working out.
I think that's probably the best way to do those now, honestly, with the current like architecture that they have for the just YouTube. We've been experimenting with a bunch of different things, but like honestly, the way that shorts like spike in engagement so quick, it's like I think
about a day and they just
if you're not treating them like TikTok, where it's like this is a video that's meant to be up and garner 1 million views, but like I'm using it to promote something else I'm doing, like I think that's the way to go with it. And then like like you were saying, unlist it later on. Total fan of that idea.
And the biggest problem with that is if I don't unlist it, because the first one I didn't unlist for 2 or 3 weeks and people kept adding to it. I'd get like 1 or 2 every other day and just be like, I'll add that to next week's, I guess. So I think it's just better to do it that way.
I think that is probably specifically a problem with the way that YouTube pushes shorts, and that they don't really care so much about when it was uploaded, just so long as people click on it.
Yeah. I have a question for you here. Tin Can is asking, real talk, I'm super torn between playing Terran's Dancer or Vanguard in the next class. I haven't looked at your Dancer yet, but like the Pathfinder Dancer, kind of garbage. So, what are you doing with Dancer to make it interesting?
So my main inspiration, I didn't. Is there a Dancer class in Pathfinder?
Yeah,
second edition. Oh, there's not? I thought.
Oh,
it's just Bard.
Oh,
okay.
It's a
subclass for Bard. Okay.
No,
no,
it's a character build that Paizo has published.
Gotcha. All right. So there you go. I didn't look at Pathfinder because I didn't even know that there was a recommendation over there for that. But no. So my core inspiration for the Dancer honestly came from Fire Emblem. The Dancer, the Dancer's a pure martial support. Like I said, I honestly have more martial classes than I do spellcasters now at this point. So the way that Dancer works is from the inspiration with Fire Emblem, you basically always roll out with a Dancer on your team because it means that one of your other units can take an additional turn. It's
haste,
super good.
Haste.
Yeah, and what you can do as the Dancer, part of this was inspired because my girlfriend has obsessive compulsive disorder, and she's voiced many times that in D&D, whenever her turn comes up, she gets overwhelmed for choice. And because of that, she's like, I kind of just feel like I'm wasting my turn if I don't do anything, and I don't really know what to do, but I want to help out. So the Dancer felt like, basically, its core thing is you can either perform dance flares, which are kind of like martial maneuvers that give you like status effects or certain control you can do out on the battlefield. And then it also has this feature called Step Up, which is basically you give somebody else an action that they can take on your turn.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that idea.
So it's an action economy support. The other dance flares that it can get are like, the other ways it can kind of help out with action economy is like, Barbarian has to rage as a bonus action on their turn. The Dancer can let them rage as a reaction.
That's
Druid can,
if
you can use this to like make your team's action economy a lot more optimized. So you can be like a tactician Dancer if you wanted to, and be like, rather than having your turn delayed, I guess your team's kind of Nova delayed by like a turn. Having a Dancer out there kind of lets it get going real quick.
That reminds me of the Goblin Fire Dancers. Or maybe it's the Goblin War Chief. The Goblin War Chief, yeah. They're just like, they can basically whip all their party members into a rage. It's just like, no! I like that idea. That's really cool. I like that concept of like, especially, that might work really well for Pathfinder 2nd Edition of granting people additional actions just because it's already part of the economy of having so many. That's really cool.
I've had a lot of people, especially with all the OGL stuff, ask me to convert my stuff to Pathfinder. I made some moves to do that. Unfortunately, the ones that I did make the moves on that towards are my 2 most complicated classes.
Oh no.
So, yeah, somebody's doing a conversion of my Runekeeper right now, and that is a to anybody that's seen my Runekeeper, you know that was a class that was 2 years in the making, and it involves an entirely brand new magic system. So yeah.
Pixel, what are you doing? Hey, stop! Stop walking on the keyboard. Get out of here.
Cats, gotta love them.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry if anything just exploded. Everything seems fine. All right.
I think it's fine.
Sorry, go ahead.
Two
years in the making.
Yeah. So that one's just really, yeah. But so for me, for the other two, the ones that I really want to get over there are the Vanguard and the Dancer. But those two are also very they rely very much on a certain action economy of 5e to work. The Vanguard mostly because I was trying to prove that you could build a martial tank in 5e. Nice. The thesis statement on that is basically like, as a tank main in MOBAs, I know that the stuff that I'm trying to stop is that on the enemy's turns. Like, the reason why tanking doesn't work in 5e very well is because the turns are separate, right? So like, I can't usually act on an enemy turn. Yeah. So that's why as the Vanguard, it's like, well, if you're going to tank, they should be specializing in the ready action instead, and be able to like react to shove somebody off of one of their buddies.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
yeah.
And I've had a friend do that with we made a provoke mechanic that basically did that. It's like on their turn, I'm going to use my turn to see who they attack and then provoke them, and I get to roll an intimidation against their attack basically. And that worked out okay. I think that's a lot more sense, making it more reactive than preparatory, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my god, I just glanced back at the screen and saw the otter, and it's adorable.
Thank you.
Did you pierce its belly button?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Morbid asked, did I miss the Fishman? I don't believe so. Burning's doing cavalry shenanigans. I'd be crazy to have a cavalier with a ghost mount or a magical roller blade on a rocket boost. I've had someone have a ghost horse. That was pretty awesome. It's pretty great. Offensive duelist would be really good for that, at least as a feat. I hardly use opportunity attacks unless it's a mage slayer. Yeah. We'll talk. I'm super torn between playing. Oh, we already read that. Dancer. Where's the list at? Just calculating my odds. We're down to 23. 23.
Your odds are not great.
Not great. But we will be doing the same list on Friday, so.
Yeah. I'm moving slow with my drawing, so.
Tin Can says going for Dancer. It's a good choice. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea of being kind of action economy based, like an action economy based bard. I think would be a good way to look at it. So maybe I need to revisit, because with a friend we were playing with was trying to build a Final Fantasy Dancer.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they were doing, and they said they weren't enjoying it. So I misunderstood that. I thought there was an actual build for it.
No. I mean, there might be a build somewhere for it, because I saw people doing second edition builds for like League of Legends characters.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So there probably is a Dancer build somewhere. But like the only Dancer build that I know of is the sample class build for bards. And
the Santa? Oh, the stand. Oh, wait. Did you say the standard?
Sample.
Oh, okay.
Sample.
Like, wait,
sorry,
what?
Accent. I am from Kentucky, so I have an accent.
Oh, yeah, it's all good.
Sorry,
I'm from Oklahoma. I throw out the y'alls and all that. So yeah.
But yeah, so like their thing is like you should take the Maestro Muse and have Inspire Competence and have triple time.
I really like those. I really like that kind of bard. I've always allowed people to basically use whatever they want for their instrument, quotation mark instrument.
Yeah.
It's like dancing, cards, like singing, humming. I'm fine with all of that. Like I really do like the bard concept. But a lot of the time it is like, okay, on my turn, you get a +4. That's it. Okay, go ahead. It's just like, I continue playing. So I really would like to see more ways that you can functionally support in that game.
Yeah, I am fairly outspoken as just absolutely despising D&D's bard.
Yeah.
Just as a musician, it's like I hate that that's how music is represented in fantasy, and it's like you're just. Yeah, I think that there's a way more interesting way you can do a bard.
I think so.
And
that's why my favorite bard subclass is nothing related to music. It's the God, the eloquence bard.
Eloquence, yeah. Yeah, they
tragedy.
Yeah, College Tragedy is great.
Cosmos
sorry,
says,
I spoke over you.
Interested in a DM? My DM allowed homebrew. I'm sorry they don't. Homebrew is awesome. I love it.
It's also treacherous, so I understand it.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as you're not looking at D&D Wiki, it's usually fairly decent. Like, I mean, at least some of the stuff on D&D Beyond is a little bit vetted. It's supposed to adhere to a certain formatting and everything.
I understand. Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it. I never thought about that because most of the homebrew I come up with is the stuff that I'm coming up with. So I'm constantly adjusting it as I go. Or if my friends have an idea, it's like, yeah, bring it forward, let's try it, and we build it on the fly. So I've never gone out and actually used other people's homebrew, I don't think. At least not without looking at it and then adjusting it beforehand. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought about people just bringing random stuff from D&D Beyond to the table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Go ahead.
Most of the homebrew at my table is stuff that the table builds ourselves.
Yeah.
But we do get a lot of pull from a lot of other people's stuff that they've posted online, and I think that looking at it with the table and making sure that it's balanced for the game you guys are going to play is the way to go, because that's the only way I've ever found to make it work.
I think I'm done with this big boy. I don't know what else to do with him. He's just big.
Yeah.
He's just big.
Oh hell yeah.
Well, it's a simple concept.
It was a simple concept. Bugbear, barbarian, pick, go, done.
You don't see enough barbarians with the big you don't see enough bugbears with the big wolf ears.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. I have to make him look
I
as
always
much like
love,
Wolverine as possible.
Yeah, I love the I don't know why I was going to say the Cookie Monster look. That's not what I was thinking of at all. What am I thinking of? Almost like Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or Jim Henson style, big monsters. Yeah.
Why hard wild things are?
And it's just stuck in my head now.
That's not Cookie Monster.
I'm done with this one though. I'm gonna move on. What time is it here? It's 2 o'clock. I can probably do one more.
Okay, I'll try to do one more real fast as well.
I heard
D20 and a D4.
Caltrops.
Oh, I dropped the die. Hold on.
I was listening to a DM talk about his homebrew world, and his brother plays in it. He played as a bugbear, but he kind of described him less like a typical bugbear and more like a very large orangutan.
Oh god.
So 4 for me was a tabaxi arcane trickster rogue called Marmalade. 2.5 feet tall, looks like a humanoid ginger Maine Coon cat.
Cool.
I like it.
I love Maine Coons.
I rolled an 11.
11 gets you human bard, semi-colorful clothing, loot, and rapier.
Okay.
Pet red
Not
dragon,
enough time
you
for
draw that.
color.
This is very classical duelist bard. I like it. All right.
The dandelion bard.
Yep.
So I do love the fact that when we looked up, because we weren't sure if Yasker was different from Dandelion and the same character, but
Oh yeah.
Yasker translated from Polish is Buttercup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be fair, there's depending on if you're looking at fan art from the books or the show or the game, it's the guys had vastly different appearances.
Yep.
I really thought his name was Dandelion. I didn't realize they were just pronouncing it weird.
Yeah, no, it's literally just Dandelion.
I'm like, that's a stupid name. And I'm like, I guess Dandelion doesn't mean anything anyway. So. Names are stupid.
Oh, Dandelion.
How do I multiply? I read that as how do I multiply mattresses 2x2 and 2x1. Matrices, if I remember right, multiplying matrices. If you have a 2x2 and a 2x1. Do you put each cell inside of the cell? Is that what happens? Or do you just... I think each of these cells then gets both of these in it. So you're going to have... Man, I don't remember. Don't someone Google it.
Yeah,
Matrix multiplication is not my forte.
The only math I ever did any good in was basic geometry.
Yeah, same. I think I barely passed it with a C.
I have a question. Is it possible to have a set of functional extra arms in Pathfinder? I know Thrycreen are able to. Yeah, you can. It's just, the thing is, like, the action economy is a little weird. So it depends on whether or not you want to add it, much like getting a free 2-weapon fighting feat. Or, I think with the new system, you can actually attack as many times as you want. You just have the multiple attack penalty on it. Mm-hmm. Which is how it worked in old Pathfinder 2. It just wasn't like a big part of the game. So what I would do with multiple arms is basically any action you would have that would let you attack, you can attack twice. Assuming you're using different weapons, that's part of it. They have to be small weapons, and then they still incur the penalty. And then you can take the feats to remove those penalties just like you would normally, and so you just get better and better at it. But you do gain additional attacks because of your race, which I think is great.
They've not toyed with it yet in second edition, in turn like races with multiple arms yet. Because the closest thing they have is the Kashrishi one. The heritage is for them, but they've stated that you can only use them to climb because they're short, stubby arms.
Yeah, and something with the Umber Hulks. I think it was an Umber Hulks? No, not the Umber Hulks.
Trucks?
The Trox. The Trox basically had second arms that just gave them advantage on grapples. That's what they were for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I applauded them for trying in Spelljammer, but boy, it just caused all kinds of bad interactions. Like I think it was like Thrycreen was able to, so like essentially what they allowed you to do was like object interactions as a bonus action on your turn. So as minor as this sounds, because it's like you can open or close the door like with a bonus or with this free object interaction, you could like just stay like in. We were joking about this as like you could just be inside of like a pot or something and open up the lid to the pot and shoot somebody or do whatever and then close the lid of the pot, and you were technically not targetable because you were behind full cover like while you're doing this. So like it was like the basket build was you were going with like Hadazee or Thrycreen or the I want to say it was the Plasmoid also had this interaction.
Okay.
And it was like it's so dumb, but it just messed with the game too hard. I like the idea. I thought that what they were going for was a fun idea, but like it just didn't really work out well in practical play.
Yeah. I think if you're going to do something like that, like essentially it is giving you a bonus, right? Like you are...
Oh, yeah.
You should get an extra attack on your turn. That does not mean that you shouldn't follow the rules of the game as they already apply, which is why, like, yeah, you can make the extra attack. It still follows the same rules for the multiple attack penalties until you tech into it. So.
Yeah. Because that's kind of like the thing about, like, where they've added the different weapon traits to the things. So it's like rapiers have, like, I think it's rapiers have agile, which means they take a less penalty. Their penalty, multiple attack penalty, is less than, say, a longsword.
Yeah.
However, the downside of having a weapon with agility or agile on it is they're never going to do above like a d6 of damage.
Yeah. I'm trying to make this really derpy, if you guys haven't noticed. I want this big derpy cat. It's only supposed to be 2 feet tall though, so I feel like I should make him really squinched. But I might just give him no body. That could be very funny too.
Just all hair.
Just total floof.
I mean, cats are liquids, so might as well.
I thought they were non-Newtonian.
I mean,
no, I don't know if they spill out of their other things. They just fill it. Fill all space. I don't remember what this was supposed to be.
Arcane Trickster.
Its body is like 90% neck. Yeah, somebody said something earlier that, like, yeah, I super agree with. It was about the like Arcane Trickster's spell thief thing or whatever. That's like one of those samples of like, it's such a cool capstone feature, but it's like basically inaccessible in 90% of games. And it's like, God, it would be really cool if that were like something that made sense way early on. Because like, it is so cool. Yeah, of course the rogue should be able to steal spells. Yeah, do it. Like, but it's just like all the flashy stuff. It's like early 5e design is so worried about giving you something that scary, you know?
Yeah. And I do think it's simplicity's for simplicity's sake, right? Like
oh, for sure.
Their whole
Yeah.
thing. So it's like, because at that point you're having to, I mean, a good example of what I'm trying to say is the way they want to change Druid, right? It's like Druid just, you have one stat for Druid, one stat for Druid transformed. That makes total sense for simplicity's sake. But you lose so much flavor for it. And so like, I could see the rogues having their abilities only after absorbing a spell or countering a spell, but having to like have the DM be careful about what spells they're using because the rogue could steal them just adds a whole level of complexity to the game that I don't think they wanted to deal with at all.
Yeah, that's still a thing for me though, where I'm like, yeah, but that's like the fantasy of it, right? Like,
yeah. I would definitely. I think that's, like I said, the spell stealer class and concept is really cool. So I would definitely let somebody play that if they wanted to try it. I think it'd be easy enough to implement it. It's just something that I would have to sit down and figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want something, whenever they're, releasing new content, that's what I'm hoping for, more than like, yeah, the really powerful options. I'm like, what's it doing that's unique? What can I do with this that I can't do otherwise? That's like what I'm always dying to find. This cat.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm losing it. It's definitely
just that 1,000-yard stare. He should have a cigarette like hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah, probably.
I'm here for murder.
Yeah.
I'm walking around the corner, and this is what you see. It's like, oh,
it definitely looks like a cat that would be named Marmalade.
It does. You don't have to add color. You can just tell that's an orange cat.
Give him some
with fleas.
Make the tail bigger than his body. I might do it the other side. He's got the knife on that side, so I'll move this over. Make his poof coming out of his pants because it's just too big.
Move the capstone down to 6. They should also make the Arcane Trickster the Blue Mage of 5e. Agreed.
Could be cool. That could be really cool. I might try that. I have a friend playing an Arcane Trickster right now, and so far he just keeps trying to cheese the game with Mage Hand. And every time he does it, I'm just like, okay. Like, I've shut him down a few times because I'm like, if you touch this box, it will kill you. Like, that's just what it does. And he's like, okay, I use Mage Hand. I'm like, make me a will save. Like, the magic transfers through your hand. That's how it works. And so, like, I feel bad because I'm like, I want his character to be cool, but I want him to stop thinking that Mage Hand is the end-all be-all spell. And it's like, no, I want you to have something cool with it. So maybe I will let him steal spells. That could be really awesome. I wonder if I can find a way to do that.
It's actually fairly self-balancing because, honestly, it's given to Arcane Trickster so late that, like, it's basically ineffectual to them because they have to have the spell slot level to be able to cast the spell.
Yeah.
So, like, it's already limited to, like, 1st through 4th level spells. I
find that really frustrating when it's like, when a self-limiting thing like that isn't given until super late game.
Yeah.
Because if it already has that kind of constraint on it, then there's no reason not to give it to them earlier.
Yeah.
There was already scaling built into it, and they gave it to them way too late.
I've run into stuff like that. Yeah, I've run into stuff like that with like the sleep spell as well. It's basically like a lot of those kind of spells are like, these are not meant to be used on bosses. And it's like, well, then I can't build around it. I can't build something fun and unique with it if it only works on fights in which we are going to dominate the fight anyways. So I always try to find ways to let those kind of spells, like kind of utility spells, level up faster, or like potions that are like, oh, this only go to level 2. It's like, no, man, I want you to have a potion that brings people back to life. Let's do it. Like, just like some of the limitations they put in there, I do feel like are good for balancing, but like I'm comfortable enough with understanding why things are kind of scaling out of control anyways that I'm fine breaking those barriers down. So
yeah. I like your example of potions, because like in 1st edition Pathfinder, you weren't technically supposed to make you weren't technically supposed to be able to make a potion high of any spell higher than above 3rd level.
Yeah.
Which was really stupid because you actually had to invest a feat into potion crafting in order to be able to craft potions. So it was like super wasteful. It was never worth it. So, and then like they broke their own rules all the time with especially with the alchemist class.
Yeah.
Who I guess could make potions of like basically any level. So I just basically said screw it. If you don't have the feat, then you can make potions of up to 3rd level spells. If you do have it, then you can make potions of whatever spell you can find.
And if you follow the rules for like what they had for the cost of things, it worked. It made high levels potions very expensive and like very detrimental to make, which was great. It was like, cool, you're not going to find these. They're really rare.
Yeah, and it totally self-balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Pathfinder has the like spell storing potions, right?
I'm not sure. I don't think I've played with that.
I just sounded like from the way that you were discussing it, I was like, oh, like
you can turn any touch or self spell into a potion. So it was written that way because then as they expanded the spell list, you could just take a spell that has self or touch and put it in a potion. That being said, you can make potions of like harm touch, which is really funny. You could make potions that just light you on fire. Like there's a lot of weird stuff you can do with it. But that's one of the reasons I like Pathfinders, because that's how they build it. They're like, so as we add things, like just keep having fun with it. And they've done that less in the new stuff because they're like, oh, you get spells up to level 2, and then they don't tell you what they are. It's like, can I just use any spell then? I'm just gonna use any spell. I'm just gonna pick a spell, make a potion out of it.
Yeah.
I think in cases like that, it is like any spell.
Yeah. And so that's what I did for the tattoos as well. It's just like, this is a cool spell. It's a tattoo now. I just put it on my list.
They finally added level 1 tattoos.
Nice.
Just so you know. Because there's... Yeah. It's in the Treasure Vault book, so if you have it, or...
I don't think I do. I'll look that up.
It's one of the things I really do appreciate about like Pathfinder design over 5e is they embrace the idea that like, okay, so 5e design is super safe. They basically like they teach you essentially you cannot put something that could hurt this player into their own hands, and it's like, well, why not? Like they can always just take the attack action against themselves, I guess, like whatever. But at least in Pathfinder, it's like, oh yeah, you mean like I could make a inflict wounds potion? Yes, you could. I don't know why you would want to, but you know, it's there. Like I appreciate that a lot more than like hand holding you through like, let's make sure you don't make bad decisions, or like a design is intrinsically bad because it's that's like a first signature of like what is a 5e class, is like learning how to design features that won't hurt you, the player, right? Like
So I have two really good examples of that. I had one friend playing a gunslinger, and she didn't want to, like, I'm like, I gave her magical bullets. I'm like, here's some fire bullets, here's some explosive bullets, like, play with them. And she's like, I don't know when I'm going to use these, I'm scared of it. And I'm like, I mean, you could just randomly put one in your revolver every time you load your bullets. And she's like, I love that idea. And the way we kept track of it is I gave her 6 poker chips because she had a revolver. One of them was red and 4 of them were white. And we put them in a bag, and every time she fired, she would just pull one of the poker chips out. And it happened so often that she would be like up close with somebody because she could fire in melee range, and she'd pull out that explosive round. And it was so funny every time it happened. And we had a blast with it. It was really fun, but like it was inherently dangerous. The other one was the inflict wounds potion. I had a friend buy a bunch of those, and he tricked someone into drinking one, which was really funny. And then later he got knocked unconscious, and one of the players ran up and like, I'm gonna grab a potion off of his belt and I'm gonna feed it to him. And I was like, I want you to roll me to see if you can discern which one is the healing, which one is the harm spell. They didn't, and then I'm like, flip a coin, see which one you grab, and they killed him. They just straight up killed him with it. It was really funny. So,
amazing.
Yeah, really funny.
I totally agree with your point. I feel like 5e treats me like a kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like one of the reasons I'm a Paizo simp is because Paizo doesn't.
It's definitely a thing that they are getting worse with as time goes on. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think that there is some interesting stuff happening. Like I like the idea of what they want to do with the wizard. Like what we've seen in 1 D&D, but like I don't agree with the execution of it.
Yeah.
Do the spell crafting system. That's what I'm doing in Vagabond. Like, yeah, do the spell crafting, but like make that a separate crafting subsystem that your sorely neglected interaction pillar of play is missing.
Yeah.
Like you guys came up with a crafting system and then you called it a spell for some reason. Like, what? Go back. Like, you have a good idea, just don't do that.
That was my same argument with the I was gonna say inventor. That's not right. The artificer. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, instead of building a good crafting system into the game, they're like, what if we just make a class that casts spells that are items? And it's like,
yeah.
No. And then they're like, oh, that's also the alchemist. And it's like, God, why? Why did you do this?
I had no idea really what my huge issue with that class was until I watched surprisingly XP to level 3's video. Because like I felt like I could critique it, but at the same time I was like, what is my hang up here? Because I feel like I like some ideas, but what is happening? And Jacob said he got the spell storing item, and he was like, why the hell was this not the main feature of the class? And I was like, oh my god, you're right. That could have made their spell casting so unique. Like, oh, it could have been so good. They locked the defining thing way too late. Like, yeah.
I agree. Well, I think I like how 5e allows interactions between class mechanics. It's like being handed a Lego set that can always put a TIE fighter wings back on a truck. I think that 5e is actually bad at that.
I agreed.
I agree.
Way better at that.
Yeah, you should check out Pathfinder. You're gonna have way more fun. Like, to me, 5e is kind of like Mega Bloks, and Pathfinder is more like Legos.
I feel like 5e is more like Lincoln Logs.
It could be Lincoln Logs, yeah. I can build a house, or a different kind of house.
That's why I'm not the biggest fan of Pathfinder. I hate Legos.
Yeah.
Well, 1e. I hate 1e.
It's math. It's math.
was not a fun experience for me.
First edition Pathfinder isn't Legos, it's Kinects.
Yeah. Where's my motor
like-
part?
Does that make Merkborg Bionicles?
Maybe.
Oh, God.
I've been playing Haragon Fulminir Alchemist, okay, for a while now, and it's been amazing. I actually immortalized a guy with alchemical fire, immolated a guy with alchemical fire and oil last session. That's always fun.
Yes. Yeah.
I had Lars. Lars used to be on the show a lot more, but Lars is one of my friends, and he wanted to play his first D&D campaign. I'm like, yeah, we can just throw you in with some of the other people that are playing, or his first Pathfinder game, I'm sorry. We'll let you play whatever you want, and we'll throw you in and you'll have fun. And he's like, I want to be like an alchemist. I was like, great. And he's like, can I like make bombs? I'm like, you can make so many bombs. And so he just loaded himself up, and then he, instead of joining Kevin the Necromancer, decided to fight Kevin the Necromancer. Kevin the Necromancer kicked the crap out of him. And he's like, well, my character's dead. I'm like, well, you have hero points, so you can use 2 hero points to save yourself. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'll do that. I'm like, or you can use your hero points to set off every bomb you have in your pockets. And he's like, I'm going to do that. So that's still one of his like favorite moments in playing, was his first alchemist who just
go out in a blaze of glory.
Almost killed Kevin the Necromancer, which is a feat to behold. But yeah, so I love hero points, and Pathfinder's great for that kind of silly shenanigans. Alchemists are fun. I really like alchemists. In Pathfinder specifically, the ones in D&D are hot garbage. Okay, there is my cat. I think I'm done with this. I had to do one.
I'm also done.
It is. Oh, it's 2:30, so I think we're just about done there. Let's see. Let's get up chat here. Remember Lego Bionicles? I bought a whole box of like used Bionicles to make a short film, and then I never made the film. So now I just have like I think I bought it in bulk, like by the pound. I bought 5 pounds of Bionicles.
Wow.
Yeah. After hearing you guys talking about making subclasses, I want to work on a Mage Hunter character. Are there some class ideas from previous editions I can read for inspiration? Pathfinder has a few things, but that's really what we were talking about, is like there's not a lot of good ones. Like,
yeah, no.
there's not a lot of good.
The best I have kind of come up with personally, and it's been a while since I can't like give you a lot of specifics, but I kind of started with a monk as the base, because monk have pretty good saves.
Yeah, my recommendation is honestly still just Ross is Accursed. I think it hits that theme really well because Ross went with the thematic of like cursed magic is anti-magic, so it's baked in and it isn't so hyper specific. But I mean, it's just a certain niche that, while cool, I think you're better off with like, you know, some people say like, well, we need a Witcher class, and I'm like, Geralt of Rivia is a Monster Slayer Ranger. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's some stuff that's already there, that like that one specific narrative beat of I hunt down hags or something in a game of like high fantasy. That's actually a niche compared to what all you can do with the character. You know,
there's a handful of like backgrounds and class features you can take that don't define the class. One of I think is really funny is superstitious in Pathfinder. And what superstition does is you get bonuses to all of your saves against magic, but you have to make them every time. So if somebody wants to cast a cure spell on you, you have to make a save because you just don't trust the magic. You just don't trust it. I thought that one was really funny. There's a few in Pathfinder 2nd Edition which are pretty similar, where you just get bonuses like you can't be charmed with mental magics. That those are kind of interesting. And I like the idea of like kind of the Witcher aspect of the fighter that can use wands and spells, because they're like, I need to use magic to stop magic. But then what was the other one? The one my Konrasu had was there's like a 20-foot aura around you where anybody using magical items has to make a roll to see if it even goes off. So there's a 20% chance that spell items just fizzle around you. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. But like it really is a hard thing to do in 5e. You really have to do some digging in order to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And I think you could probably do it with any class and any race. But you're gonna have to plan out feats, and you're gonna have to be real careful with your build.
Yep.
Satyr is pretty good at it because of magic resistance. But I just kind of start off like there. I mean, I guess you could say UNT as well, but
yeah.
I mean, I think Satyr is probably the more like conventionally accepted at a lot of tables, at least. But yeah,
because it's not snake.
Well, yeah, there's the UNT's big scary thing isn't necessarily the magic resistance; it's the freaking poison immunity that's so good.
Oh man, yeah. The next character Lars made was a Drow noble gunslinger, and Drow in Pathfinder 1 have spell resistance, which is super good. So it's basically the same thing. But then I also gave him a chess piece with it on it because I didn't realize it wasn't supposed to stack. And so he had like a 50% chance of magic just not working on him, and it made him the most powerful thing in the game. It was bonkers. Yeah. That was really funny. He would walk into traps, like fireball traps, and just be like, this is going to be great. He'd just set them off and be like, totally fine. Like, all right. Okay, we need to change something. This isn't working. Yeah, Superstitious Warlock sounds pretty funny.
Is it like the same way in Pathfinder that it is over in 5e with magic resistance?
No, they've removed magic resistance, I think.
Good. Smart move.
Yeah, it was
very smart move.
I mean, it was just having a flat chance to just negate something that's level 9. Not great.
It's insane. It's so crazy. Like,
it did make Drow real scary. So it was appropriate for the campaigns in which you were fighting Drow. But no.
They also
Drow
removed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
A player.
Like, if they want like the most reasonable way that they could nerf that, it literally just needs to be like, you add your proficiency bonus to saving throws you make against magic, even if you don't have the proficiency with it. Like, it's got to get trimmed back.
I think that's what they did for 2nd edition. Like, a lot of the features.
Oh, really?
They just give you small bonuses based on your expertise in a skill, which is essentially your proficiency. So that's basically what they did. They also got rid of touch AC for the same reason. It's just like, I have a gun, so armor no longer matters. And it's just like, well, that's most of the game. So,
You missed touch AC, though.
It was interesting. It was an interesting idea, but it's just too complicated.
Yeah,
it was an extra complication. How do you feel about having sorcerers run off HP rather than spell slots? I really love the blood caster idea, like blood magic.
Same.
I've never found a really good way to do it because you have to basically find out the balance between how much health can you heal by casting blood spells. So the only way I've ever found about doing it is blood magic works the same way vicious works. So you cast a spell, it does damage, but then you take like half of that yourself. So however powerful the spell is you're casting, you just take a percentage of it, which doesn't work for like utility spells. So I think the Blood Hunter kind of has that idea in 5e, but where it's just like, oh, it's a flat d4 for all of your stuff, your maledicts, and then they do cantrip level stuff. That's one way to do it, but you have to be careful with it. And I like the concept, it just hasn't been done well yet.
Yeah. I think the way I would do it is I would change that specific sorcerer from a charisma caster to a constitution caster. Up the dice you get, and I would say you take if you cast a level 1 spell, you take 1d4 damage. If you cast a level 2 spell, a d6, a level 3 spell, a d8, etc., etc., etc.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I could see that. The only problem with that is that you're inherently upping, like do you gain more spell slots for int as a wizard anymore? I don't think you do.
Not in D&D.
Yeah, you used to, I think, in older editions. But like, the problem with that is that if you stack only Constitution, and that's the thing that makes your damage go up, then you're basically double
single ability dependent.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about it, but it could be fun. I think we are about to call it. Sorry for those of you that just jumped in. We'll be back on Friday. I'll probably stream a little later on Friday. Simon Server Goblin will be, that's what we do this morning. Star Wars system. It had 2 different types of hit points, stamina and wounds. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was kind of interesting. Good D&D cost stamina to use. Yeah, that's essentially at that point stamina is just spell slots. So once again, it's like why overcomplicate it. I do like the idea of using your own hit points to amplify damage though, so that could be really fun too. What does the Blood Hunter do? Essentially, you just you can apply like fire to your weapon using your own hit points. Is the simplest way to look at it. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out today, Indestructible Boy. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Let's get another link to your. I assume you want the Kickstarter over your YouTube channel, but we could probably do both.
Yeah.
Go check that out. I love the mimic you have on there, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah, Maxwell's art's just I got so lucky finding him. Oh my god.
It's good.
Just a particular character to it that I don't know. Sometimes I'll see something in his artwork that I'm like, I have to design around whatever that is right there. Like, yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Indestructible Boy's channel, go do that. Go check out the Kickstarter. Not affiliated with me at all. Just random happenstance to hang out today. Love to support it. That's all I got. We'll
Thanks for letting me jump on, man.
Yeah, no problem. You're always welcome. He's going to be using a Discord emote. Is this going to be a Discord emote? I could make Rugby a Discord emote.
I mean, there are lots of Rugby Discord.
Actually, there's already a Cthulhu Rugby emote.
Yeah, there is.
There it is.
Everything we drew is going to be put in the Discord and Draw tab in the Discord.
Yep. So if you guys want to check those out and use them for your games or whatever else, feel free. And we'll be back on Friday with the same list. And you guys are welcome to keep adding to that list if you've not added to it yet, or just catch us on Friday. So that's all I got. Stay happy, stay healthy, keep your dice on the table, and we'll catch you all later in the week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Later.